The TV real quick. But I got headphones in so I can hear.
Well, that's cool. We're live and recording now, so welcome to the Wonton Wednesday podcast as I pick my nose.
I'm super excited for you doing this, man.
I'm fucking excited too, just because I get to talk to all my old friends that basically I just make up an excuse of why I should, other than just assaulting you people with memes and going, "Hey, I love you and I miss your face," which
It's fair.
it has its time and place.
Yeah.
So is that your beautiful baby boy?
Yeah. I'm on stay-at-home dad duty.
Fuck yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 4 months, just under. He's huge
Nice.
too. He's like 17 pounds. Hurts my back, hurts my neck. Just learned how to roll over, so
You have to start doing pull-ups again.
Dude, no, I gave up those muscles years ago. I retired them the day I got out. My last PFT, what was his name? Gunny James, the QAQI chief. He, big dude, like Sergeant Major. He's like, "Oh, you got to do your final PFT," and I like kept that final physical paperwork on my person for 90 days. I'm like, "No, I'm not running. I'm not doing anything." Sergeant Major said so. I'm like, "Cool, all right, let's go." So I did my final PFT like 2 weeks before I got out. I jumped up. He's like, "Can you do 3 pull-ups?" I'm like, "Of course I can." So I get up there. I'm like, EAS, and then I just jumped down, and he was furious.
The Gunny or the Sergeant Major?
Gunny. Sergeant Major wasn't there because it was just my shop. It was me, Lynch, and me, Chandler, Gunny Chandler, and Redmond. And Redmond was actually trying to promote, so he actually tried. I obviously didn't care because I was getting out. And Redmond's like, "You can do that?" I'm like, "You do whatever you want." Gunny James like, "No, you can't." I'm like, "Whatever, man. You do you." When did the run, and I hit 28 minutes at the 1.5 mile mark because I just drug my feet the entire time. He's like, "Do you not care?" I'm like, "No, I don't. Like, I'm getting out. My MOS has been locked out for I think 2 years for sergeant. Like, there was no way it was going to happen. So I'm like, what's even the point? Like, what are you going to promote me when I'm a civilian? Like, get out of here. Like, I don't care. He did make me do 100
picked up
crunches.
sergeant afterwards, though.
Yeah, there were a couple of people that picked up on like terminal.
Yeah.
Which I kind of wish I like looking back, I should have tried because then it just bumps my disability a little bit, but not by enough.
Yeah, I have 0 disability. I don't even have fucking tinnitus. I'm like, all right, whatever.
How? Dude, they can't prove you don't have it. You just
I'm not a
tell me.
liar, though.
Yeah, but
What's
it's the
that going to get
government.
me? Like, that gets me 28 cents, I think. I'm like, it's not even worth the time to go to the VA.
I get $165 a month for it.
Okay.
And then I just redid all my what's it called? I don't know, I essentially argued the fact that they denied everything else. So I'm in the process of that. I had to go see like 6 doctors in 2 weeks, follow up on a bunch of stuff. So hopefully it goes through. Like, it'd be cool if I got my sleep apnea because I've heard that's like 50%. So that would be cool.
100% unsure of any of that. All I know is I used the GI Bill for a little bit until I realized how much I absolutely blow fucking Chunks at math. By the way, Chunks is a dude. And did the VA home loan thing. And then in New York, if you submit some paperwork, I forget what the fuck it is, but basically state and local property taxes just get fucking wiped out by being a veteran. Like, my sister found me the paperwork. It was like insanely hard to find, but she's a nurse at a VA clinic near Chicago. So she's just like, "Hey, I found this." And I'm just like, what the fuck?
That's awesome.
Like, well,
Good for you.
this is
Because
amazing.
taxes
Like,
up there are ridiculous, aren't they? Like, it's
I
not like
mean,
California, but it's still New York, isn't you know?
New York is more by county though. So like out where I live in
Oh,
West Bumfuck, like it's I consider it reasonable, but the town that I was living in when I was married was the rich town of the county. I didn't find it to be anything particularly bad,
no.
but
Still, zero is better
yeah,
than something.
zero's better than seven in my opinion, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
And
that's
the
good.
property wasn't like ridiculously priced. My house cost 120 grand and it was 1,600 square feet.
Shit, no, it's good for you.
Yeah. I
Not
mean,
bad.
but it's also an economically depressed area.
Yeah, that happens. But
That
I got
happens when all
lucky
the
out
steel
here.
mills pull out.
Right, crazy, crazy what happens. Almost like Detroit wasn't an example enough.
Happened roughly around the same time.
Was it? Oh, that sucks. That's even worse.
Yeah, like that
I mean,
80s steel mill pull out, and then I think the only thing that's left there is Purina's in the next town over, and also Wells Ice Cream. You wouldn't know Wells, but you'd know them by their other brands of Blue Bunny and Halo Top.
okay. Well, at least there's
So
something.
yeah, there's a few things, and there's also a college in that town, which is why it's um, so high fucking priced
Oh,
because
yeah.
they always know that they're going to have it's. I
There's
describe
always
it
somebody gonna live
as
there.
I describe it as a like a military base facility, but like they
Mm.
don't have money and they can go outside whenever they want. It's like,
That makes
oh,
sense.
it's and and it's really great because in the summers they're gone.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I did similar kind of stuff. Like I got out. I didn't do anything for the first couple of years. Like, as soon as I got out, I filed my disability just because somebody told me to.
Hmm.
And they were just like, yeah, just write everything down. I was like, all right, cool. My knee hurts, my back hurts, all this stuff. And they're like, tinnitus, and denied all the other things. I tried to get actual hearing loss because we stood next to the Osprey for 5 years, and when I deployed as Harriers and all the other things. And I went to this civilian doctor because I guess the VA doctor was like booked out for like a year. And she goes, "Oh, you definitely have hearing loss. Not enough to get paid for it, but it's definitely there." So that was the end of it. But I
Do you
got
want
the
to hear
ten
something
percent. And
crazy?
what's that?
You remember Stumbaugh?
Mm-hmm.
He actually went in with a hearing waiver.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Because
you could do that.
I didn't either. And like I lived with the dude for years and I had no idea he was legitimately deaf when he came in. I thought he was just fucking with me all the time when he was like, "What? Can't hear you." And like so me and my girlfriend went down there for New Year's to North Carolina to like go hang out with
Mm.
him and like New Year's. I haven't seen my bestie in a while. And like he's wearing hearing aids. I'm like, "Why are you wearing hearing aids?" He's like, "'Cause I'm deaf." I'm like, "Did you go to the VA for it?" He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Did you go to the VA for it?" It's just like, dude, I went in with a waiver. I can never go to the VA for anything hearing related. I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, yeah, man, chainsaws and guns growing up. I'm like, holy shit.
I mean, we'll do it. Those
I
country
was like,
folks, they'll
how
survive
the?
though.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it's like wild. I'm like, I had no idea you were deaf.
Yeah, I
Pay
had no idea.
attention to
I
my
just
own
thought he
friends.
just did. I just thought he didn't pay attention when people were talking.
I just walked
Like
around with a coffee
it's what
cup and a
we all do.
clipboard.
That's like all I do. Like, huh? What? Yeah, no, totally for sure. I just don't pay attention.
But yeah, he's that's my deaf best friend, and I'm just like, son of a bitch.
Nice. That sucks. He should have lied.
Yeah.
They could have gotten actual disability.
He should have like just like had somebody. Well, I guess it was 2002, 2003. It's like somebody teach you the button pad and just be like
Yeah.
beep, beep, beep.
I still don't
Wait
know that
10
pattern. I've done
seconds.
it so many times. The VA said that I lied, or that there's no way that I failed 5 hearing tests in a row because I was on a boat when I did it. Like when I was deployed, I went and did my hearing test because it was like they required it for whatever reason. And I went through there, and like I walk out in the dock, he's just like, "Bro, why didn't you hit the buttons?" And I'm like, "Because I didn't hear the beeps." He goes, "Stop trying to fail a hearing test. We don't care. It's not going to change your disability rating." I'm like, "What are you talking?" Like I had zero concept of any of this. And I'm like, "I'm just trying to do this so I can go back to work." Like I thought you weren't hitting them. I thought you didn't turn it on. And he's like, "No, like, what do you mean?" I'm like, "I didn't hear any beeps. Like I heard a few, and I pressed the button. Like I did what I was supposed to." He goes, "All right, we're gonna do this again." So they put me back in there, and I was actually like trying to listen. And I pressed the button every time I heard a beep, and he walks up, he goes, "Why didn't you hit the button?" And I'm like, "Because I didn't hear anything." He's like, "All right." They take me into the other room, like they flush my ears out. They're like, "You cannot go on the flight deck for the next 24 hours. You cannot do not put headphones in. Don't do any of that. Just don't be exposed to anything loud, and then come back and do it again tomorrow." Like, all right, cool. So I go the next day, did everything the doc said, because like, the docs fucked me up a couple times. Like I avoided the anthrax, like the 3rd or 4th round of anthrax, and they ended up tricking me, trapping me in the med bay. And then one of them was a bodybuilder. Guy was fucking huge, nicest guy in the world. Like honest guy, like nicest man I've ever met. And then I just come around, I'm like, "Hey doc, where's your flight gear?" And he's just like, "What flight gear?" I'm like, "Oh shit." And I look over, and the chief is standing there reading a paper. He's like, "You fucked up, boy," because he had this thick Irish accent because the fucker was from Ireland. He just says, "You fucked up, boy," and I'm like, "Oh no!" And they fucking tackled me. And then a third one comes out of nowhere, and I just see this fucking needle, and I'm just fighting for my fucking life. And I remember going in, and I swear he put it in the bone, and I'm just like, "It's in the bone, you fucking cocksucker! I fucking hate you! Fuck you!" They let me up, and they're like, "All right, let's go." They let me go for that. But like, I'd fucked up with the docs a few times, so like, I'm not trying to get that treatment again. So I'm doing everything they say. So I go in, I do the hearing test again, I fail. And it happened like I said, like 4 or 5 times. And they're like, "All right," they document it, they do their thing. I'm like, "All right, cool." They're like, "Well, nothing we can do for you. You're fucking deaf now." I'm like, "All right," and I just go back to work. Doing the same shit we always did. Like nothing changed. I didn't try and improve my hearing health or whatever. Like I just didn't give a fuck. I'm like, I'm deaf now, so it can't get worse. Get out, tell all this stuff to the hearing doctor in the civilian world, and she's just like, "She failed 5 times." I'm like, "Yeah," and they're just like, "But they didn't pay you?" I'm like, "No, they told me that it wasn't a valid test because I did it on a boat." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I did it on a ship." They're like, "So it wasn't in like a soundproof box?" I'm like, "No, it was absolutely in a soundproof box." And they're just like, "So you failed 5 times?" I'm like, "Yeah," but they don't believe you. I'm like, "No." They're like, "Where's the documentation?" I'm like, "I don't know. The VA lost my entire medical record." So the only record they had was that I got a TB test in like June of 2007 somewhere in Texas. When in June of 2007, I was deployed, and I was in like Spain or Sicily or somewhere. Like I was somewhere in the Middle East, or playing that game over there. They're like, "Oh, don't know what to tell you." Government money at its finest.
And
So,
this is why I don't understand why people want socialized,
dude, it
standardized
makes no.
medicine in America. I'm like, no, trust me, you don't.
Yeah, anybody that's been to the VA will tell you don't. Like, I will pay for healthcare because it gets me healthcare.
Pretty much. I can do it
You
so
know,
much faster and easier. Like,
yeah. Like I've gotten really good care at the VA. Like I've been there a
mhm.
few times, like actually sick, like into the ER. Because the trick to it is, and I learned this like working in healthcare, was um, if you go to the VA and you're like a primary VA patient, if you're actually sick and they can't handle it, they ship you out to whatever most appropriate hospital is, and the VA pays for everything. But if you
Mhm.
just go to that hospital, there's a chance that the VA may not pay for it. So, like, if I get shot for whatever reason, I'm walking to the VA hospital telling them I've been shot, and then they're going to send me to a trauma center, and then it's all paid for.
Okay.
But I mean, I also have my wife's insurance, which is really good healthcare insurance. So like, I don't have to play that game anymore. But my younger days, that was the game I was going to play.
It's totally understandable. I think the other good thing about the VA is that, my sister works at one near Chicago, so she tells me fantastic, like Vietnam veteran stories and how inappropriate they are with things. I'm just
Yeah,
like, this is amazing.
yeah, they're hilarious. I've transported a couple of those guys because we have a VA, like one of the main VA hospitals here, and we used to do just transfers between hospitals. And it was one of those things, they don't trust anybody. Their Agent Orange starts acting up, and they don't trust. They're just like, oh, I don't know about you because I'm bald and I've got neck tattoos, and, all that. They're
Mm.
just like, I don't know. I'm like, nah, man, I'm your people. Like, I was in the Marine Corps. They're like, oh, no shit. Let me tell you about this girl that I fucked in Vietnam. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, whoa, dial it back, people. Like, he's 80 years old. He's like, my dick almost fell off from chlamydia. I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, you ever see a whorehouse in Da Nang? I'm like, what the fuck is even happening right now? Like, how is this conversation? Do you have chest pain? Like, I have questions too. Like, they're more important right now.
I think
Dude,
the
those guys
last
are
one my
wild.
sister told me was it was some old guy who got the VA to start paying for like massages for something for him because of like muscle pains and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was a regular massage parlor that he was kicked out of after his third time of asking for happy endings.
Like, but like, are you surprised by any of this? Like these guys
No.
are fucking hilarious. Yeah, they were
I
good.
mean,
Like, I
they don't give
remember,
a fuck.
dude, I love the old timers. Like, I wish I got more time with my grandfathers because they were both one was Korea, one was World War II. Oh man,
Hmm.
what I would have given to heard those fucking stories. But like, I
Yeah.
remember
My
right
my grandpa that
right
was in
after.
World War II, he was Fleet Marine Forces in the Navy. He was a water tender. So
Mhm,
I'm pretty sure he went on the islands with the Marines. I
yeah.
don't know which islands he went on. Like, I really got to get better at looking it up, like what his boat did. I know the name of it. It's the USS LaPorte.
Mhm,
And, but yeah, his job was to keep the water clean. And he was in charge of up to the high water mark, which is the high, I think past the high tide mark, somewhere around there. But he went to
mhm.
Camp Pendleton, like learned machine guns, uh, like did all that stuff. And I was just like, okay, sweet. And the only person he ever said he killed was some gay man who propositioned him in LA.
Jesus Christ.
I
Different
don't,
times.
well, he never said he killed him. He said, I don't know if I killed him and I didn't care because he was propositioned in a bathroom and he hit him in the head with a toilet seat.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Still a little aggressive, but I mean, it's on par for the time.
This was a Christmas story.
They always were.
So in my fifth grade, yeah, in fifth grade, we had to do like a report on a veteran or someone, and like if you didn't know a
Mhm.
veteran, they'd find one for you. And I'm like, great, my grandpa's a veteran, and it's almost Christmas, so like I'm gonna ask him like like what he did in the war and all this stuff. My sister was there as my witness. She will tell this story too. And like at the end of like dinner, it's just like Grandpa Steve like has a question for him. Like I got to do a report and like you're like blah blah blah, like gave him the whole spiel, and like my uncle Jimmy was getting ready to leave and he just sat back down and like poured another glass of Jim Beam. He's like, I'm sticking around for this, and that should have been my first sign. But
No, I gotta hear
yeah,
this shit.
yeah,
That's
yeah, and
awesome.
I'm just like, oh, okay, this is gonna be great. And then yeah, he like started telling me all this shit, and like at the end of it I looked at my sister, I'm like, I can't use any of that, none of it is school
No.
appropriate. She's like, yeah, no, like talking about him and his buddy, like when they were on duty, basically. So, like, how they have the steel beach parties on the
Mhm.
carriers and whatever else they do now?
Yeah.
Same concept back then, but they kept all the beer in the brig. and his buddy was in charge of on duty of watching the brig, which there was no one in, but there just so happened to be, you know, cases upon cases of beer, and they shot the
Yeah.
lock off, and then the chaplain walked in while they were fucking passed out drunk. He
I
described one of
swear,
his buddies as having Velcro rank.
dude, I
This is
found, so when
amazing.
we had a steel beach party when we were deployed, and I
Uh-huh.
remember like down on the smoking deck, they had just brought in a bunch of pallets of shit. And we didn't know what they were. It was all covered and all that, and they had like random guards walking around, but they didn't really, they didn't give a fuck because we're all just down there smoking. I go down there, like me and my buddy, I can't remember who I was with, but it's like 2, 3 in the morning. We're on night shift, and I'm smoking, and I'm just kind of wandering. It's like this like labyrinth of pallets, and I just remember like I turned a corner, and there were like 5 or 6 like tall, like 5 or 6 high pallets of like Coors Light and Bud Light, and I'm just like, bro, we found it. This is it. And it was before they announced the Steel Beach Party. We had been out at sea for like, because I guess it's like after X amount of days, I think it's 60 days, 90 days, you get your 2 beers, like
Yep.
something like that. So we're just like, oh fuck, we found our 2 beers. We found everyone's 2 beers. And we're just kind of like slowly skulking around, just like nonchalantly, just like, oh yeah, we're just smoking. Nothing to see here. Just having a cigarette. I don't even like alcohol. That's not for me. And we're trying to find ways to like break into the pallets that no one could see. So we're trying to see if there's like a back end that we can get into that'll still be hidden. And as we're doing it, like we start cutting like the plastic. And this fucking Navy cat walks up. He's like, "What are you gonna do?" We're like, "Nothing." And we just bolted. And we came back an hour later and they moved them. And it was heartbreaking. But we tried. We tried to steal an entire ship's worth of beer. Wasn't
I mean,
successful.
I really don't blame you. I would have done that too if I could.
I was just super excited for beer. And I had Gunny Hudgens with me. So I was trying to tell him about it. And he's just like, don't fucking touch it, you idiot.
What boat
But,
was that on?
the baton.
I wish I would have known
Yeah.
you were on that. I had a buddy from my hometown that was on. He was in the Navy station on the Bataan. He was a boatswain's mate.
Really? It was,
Yeah. So when we
so I
did,
went out right after, I was going to say, after we destroyed the baton and they had to go to dry dock to fix their deck, after
Mhm.
we were doing all that test and evaluation, I went out with
Yep.
264 with the Mew. And that's when we were doing the Gator scores, that's when we stole the cake for Gunny Hudgens for his birthday. Like we broke
Nice.
into the kitchen and stole it. Was we called it the titty cake because it was like 2-tiered and had a cherry right in the middle and it looked like a titty.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Tom was good.
So,
They hated us though.
well, they always do.
No, like specifically like Osprey guys because we ruined their shit.
Oh.
Yeah, because I went as a frog guy and they were just like, oh yeah, these fucking Ospreys. I'm like, what a bunch of pieces of shit. Who the fuck would dare? What a bunch of frogs for life, man. Like, fuck them. Like, I just threw all of us under the bus because I didn't want to get jumped by like 12 Navy guys.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, and it's not like you went to
Yeah,
a school
sir.
specifically for the Osprey.
No, I still stand by him though. Like, people
I mean,
still talk shit about him.
I
I
like
still
them.
love him.
I do too. I think they're fucking
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. I have
So,
one of my pilots. Okay,
I was just going to ask you, where are you from originally, even? I don't even know that.
I was born in Long Beach, raised in LA for about 7 years, and then moved to Salt Lake for 7 years, and then back to LA.
So,
I
all
did
over
some
the West
bouncing,
Coast.
but yeah, primarily LA, Long Beach, that area. That's where I was made, as it were.
Makes sense. So, how did you
Yeah,
decide to join the Marine Corps?
I had no other choices. I decided my senior year of high school that I was going to do everything I could to just barely graduate. I graduated with a 1.8 GPA.
Classic.
I wrote, I think my English teacher had me write 15 essays the day before graduation so that I could walk. Like, and he gave me a D. Like, that was enough for me to graduate high school. What I
That
should have
sounds a
done,
lot like me. I describe it as being kicked out with a diploma.
yeah, that's essentially what happened. I had to put in
Yeah.
a little bit of work. I pretty much knew I wasn't going to go to college. Like, I don't even think like a community college would have taken me with that GPA. And I didn't really know what else to do, so I was like, fuck it, join the Marine Corps. And only reason I joined the Marine Corps is because somebody told me I couldn't. Like, they're like,
Like
oh, I don't think you're
physically
tough enough
or
for that. No, yeah, they're like, I
oh.
don't think you can handle it. I don't think you're tough enough. I was like, cool, fuck you, watch this. And then just arrogance got the best of me for 5 years. Because I originally talked to the Air Force, and they wanted nothing to do with me.
I think that's their
Tried to talk to
recruiting
the,
tactic.
I think so too. Like they just, like they look at me, they're like, ugh, and you know, hard pass. I'm like, all right, whatever. And I knew I didn't want to talk to the Navy because I can't swim. And then I went to the Army and they weren't there. So I went and I talked to the Marines and they were just like, all right, cool, like let's go take this practice ASVAB. So I took the practice ASVAB, and I don't know what score I got. All I remember hearing, my recruiter comes in, he goes, oh, you're done? He looks at the paper, he looks at me, he walks out, and I heard, it was a gunny, I can't remember, either a gunny officer, and whoever was in charge of that recruiting station, just goes, did he sign? Get him to fucking sign. I'm like, did I pass? Did I do good? They're like, all right, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know, what are my options? And they just put down that, you know, big dumbass book of jobs, and it just like slammed it down. He goes, pick one. He goes, except band. And he goes, can you play an instrument? I'm like, no. He goes, fuck. All right, pick anything else. I'm like, cool. I want to be infantry. He goes, not infantry, you fucking idiot. Anything else. And like he refused to let me sign because I wanted to be a grunt. You know what I mean? Like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And he
I had
refused. Like he
no
told me he
idea there
wouldn't.
was other jobs than just
Honestly,
yeah. I'm
I had
like,
no clue. I just thought you
join the
went and shot
Marines.
people. Yeah, you shoot people that way. But he straight up refused to let me join the infantry. He said he wouldn't sign my contract. He wouldn't send me. Which is looking back nice. It saved my back, my ankles, neck, all the other things that are still broken, but probably would have been a lot worse. And I don't think I would have had as much fun. You know, like we had a lot of
Potentially.
freedom. We had a
Yeah,
lot of
we
freedom.
did.
You know, I had a buddy of mine that was a grunt. I wandered over to Lejeune to go see him a couple times, and like I was like, why does it look like boot camp in here? Like it smelled like the boot camp barracks, and I was just like, why are you still using that green wool blanket on your bed? And he's just like, that's my blanket. I'm like, you're an adult. Like you're,
You can go buy one from Walmart,
yeah.
bro.
Like, dude, do you want one? I have an extra. And like he wandered over to our bricks once, and he's just like, what the fuck is this? College? He's like, you guys have a mini fridge? I'm like, you don't? Like we were the Air Force to them. Like I get why the grunts hated us because we had the ability to not want to kill ourselves every day.
Yeah, I had a buddy that I was depped in with, and then he was a chef on Lejeune. I think he was a cook at the S Street Chow Hall, but basically he was with a grunt unit. And
Mm-hmm.
he came over a few times and he's just like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? He's like, you have female Marines here? I'm like, yeah, is that
Yeah,
abnormal? He's
yeah.
like,
Like,
yes, that's abnormal. I'm like,
do you
why?
not know what? Have you never seen them before? Like,
Do you not know what a female looks like?
yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
that was the
they're
night I ended up, me and him were both clearing a bottle of something, and Ozcan came back and he's just like, there's Steve passed out with some random person. Oh, okay.
sounds good. Welcome to the party.
Yep, that's pretty much how it happened.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that's it. That's how I got in. No other choice.
I
Seemed
mean,
like a good plan.
there are other choices, just not good ones.
Yeah, I didn't really care either. Like I had no job. Like I had a job, but it was a shitty job. Um, and I was doing actually when I graduated high school, I was doing photography for like yearbooks.
Nice.
Yeah, it was it was awful because I'd have to drive like 2 hours to get set up at some elementary school, watch these little fucking monsters come in, not follow directions, and then I tried to take a picture and send them on their way. And I made like I don't know, back then I think minimum wage was like $6 an hour. I was making like
Something like
$7 an
that.
hour. It was terrible, but that was awful. Like so I was like, fuck this job, like fuck all this. I had no prospects. Like I wasn't going to college. I didn't have any skills. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was like, screw it, they'll teach me something.
It's
Yeah,
true. They made you a
yeah,
parachute rigger.
they did, and that did absolutely nothing for me in the real world. It did teach me how to
So
sew. I
did
did a couple upholstery jobs when I got out.
so did you pick that or was that open contract?
So it was not technically an open contract. Like I said, when I went through the big book of jobs, they're like, pick one. I'm like, cool, aircraft mechanic. That sounds like fun, right? Like I can learn how to work on engines. I get to work on planes. Like that's fun. I'm into that. And it was essentially like the version of open contract. Like a lot of airframers got it because you sign up and you think you're going to be like a flight line guy because it's working on engines because that's what it's labeled as. Um, but essentially, it's like a weird open contract for airframes, and Flight E falls under airframes.
Really?
Um, yeah, like some ordnance guys got it um, because the Ordies, they're the proudest bunch of rejects you've ever met. They all signed up to be fire, and then
Well,
they
yeah, they
didn't
run
get it.
around screaming "Yas" or whatever it is.
Yeah, oh yes, because I learned that because I had to share a shop with old Rick Jackson and little Manny De Los Santos, all them. That little fucker.
I
So
love
I
him
learned all
though.
that real quick. Yeah, he was a good kid. He was a goofy little bitch.
Yeah, yeah, but I
He
loved
was good
him.
people though. Hmm. Yeah. Same thing with Rick. Like Rick taught me a lot of things, mainly how to party, and I appreciated him for that, and I still do. But yeah, that's kind of how it worked. Like I signed up to be a mechanic, and then I showed up to Pensacola, and they're like, "All right, if you're a mechanic, you go over here." And I walk over there like, "You're not a mechanic." I'm like, "No, but my contract." They're like, "No, you idiot. Like actual mechanics are going to work on engines." And then you were there for X amount of time, and then you went to your C school. My school was just a C school. So they're like, you are going to be aviation life support systems. And I was just like, I don't know what that is. And whoever was checking me in, he goes, neither do we. Go over there. I'm like, okay. They're like, your school may start next week. You may not class up for 6 months. So get used to this place. And then we went and shined kick plates for 6 hours a day in the barracks. And we fought a couple Navy guys, and we tried to hook up with the girls in the Air Force. Hold on one second. Let me lay him down.
Yeah, I think it's fun trying to explain to people that Pensacola was my least favorite place I ever was. They're like,
I
"Why?
I had
Florida's so wonderful." I'm like, "That place sucked."
Yeah, but it's not like good
I think
Florida.
it was just the base. Like
I
all
do
the
miss.
instructors were on a power trip. Like they were like
Oh,
they thought they were fucking like they were rejects of fucking drill instructors or something. I'm like,
yeah,
what is this fucking
yeah, dude.
bullshit?
It never made any sense. Like I had a bunch of Navy guys. We had one Marine Corps instructor and a bunch of Navy guys, and most of my class was Navy
Hmm.
because it's the same job in the Navy. Um, and they were just biggest assholes in the world. Like we would answer a question wrong, and they'd, I mean, true, fashion. Like they'd throw something at you, but the thing they would throw would be like this 5 pound radio, and they just whip it at your head. And they're just like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, "Cool, yes, sir." Like, I don't know what you want from me. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not a petty officer, you douchebag. But we did go down. Did you ever go down to Club La Vila in what's that? It's not Destin. Oh, it's further south. We went there for spring break. somebody was over 25 in our group, and they rented a minivan. And me and a buddy of mine that I actually went to boot camp with, Jimenez, we got into the back of the minivan. Like it was like the third row up, and then the space between the third row and the back door. That's like the size of a foot. The two of us sat there for like a 3-hour drive, and we got down to I can't remember where it is, but it's at Club Vila, is in that Panama City.
Okay.
We went down there, and the reason we went to Club La Vila is because that's where they filmed Spring Break on MTV.
Oh.
So it was a huge party spot. Like it's a massive club. I looked it up a few years back, and it's like the biggest club in the continental U.S. Or it was at the time.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so we went there for like a weekend and just got absolutely wrecked. And I was 18, so like couldn't get into parties, couldn't get into any good clubs. You know, walking around with just giant X's on my hands, trying to wash them off, and it's doing absolutely nothing. Yeah, it was a good time. If you ever went down there, you should have gone down there. I do miss.
I never did go over there. No.
You know,
I just
it
went
was
to the
fun.
beach.
The beach didn't do it for me because I can't swim, so I have zero appeal for that. Also, I'm pale. Like I'm a ginger, so like I burn with a laptop on, so I tend to avoid the sunlight at all times.
So the
But
sunlight reflects off you, goes back, and it burns the sun?
correct, it's exactly how it works. You know, if you
Pretty
whisper
much. It's
daylight
science.
near me, you just come up, you're like, sun, and I'm gonna have a burn. I'm gonna be a little bit red.
No wonder they threw you on night crew.
Yeah, 100%. I've never been upset to be on night crew.
Uh, no, I absolutely fucking loved it. No, I was I was there like November, January, February. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like during the day it's like 60, 70. I'm like, perfect. I'm going to the beach on weekends.
Yeah.
Because I'm from
When
the
what year?
north, so I'm like,
Oh yeah. So 70 degrees at a beach doesn't exist for you even in the summer, right?
oh, it does. It's just Lake Erie, which is how do I describe this? Disgusting. I mean, it's
I've never
absolutely
been up there, but I've
beautiful
never
to
heard a
look
good
at.
thing. Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's a lot
I've heard a good
better
thing about the water.
than it was. I mean, in my opinion, the water quality's gone up, but it only takes 2 years from when the water enters Lake Erie by Detroit to when it leaves Lake Erie by Buffalo. It's fucking 2 year dwell time. It's the shortest of any lake of the Great
Mm-hmm.
Lakes. And so like the turnover is really high. So it's not like stagnant water in there, like in like
That's nice.
Superior or Michigan. So like if there's a problem one year, it's gone the next.
I mean, at
Like
least you got that going for you.
yeah, so it is pretty nice and like but there's some years where you're just like, oh my God, what the fuck? And there's just like dead fish just like splashing up across the shore, all across the lake. And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? And like the way it sits, like where I live, like up to Buffalo, is like the wind comes from west to east and it just fucking travels unabated until it hits land. And it's just like, the fuck is that smell? And it's like, oh, the
Oh,
dead fish coming off the lake. But like New
that
York
is ideal.
touches New York touches it like almost the least. Pennsylvania touches it the least, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And like so between New York, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, like they're cracking down on it because Ohio's pissed because like it's cutting in on their fishing tourism industry. Uh,
I
and
can see that.
a lot of it's just like Canada, you need to get on board with us. Like that was a big
Yeah.
fucking thing.
Kind of surprised Canada doesn't have more to play in that because that's like half of their border, isn't it? At least in that area.
Yeah, like that's all Ontario. But the problem, from what I understand, was it's part like power plants, just like, you know, pushing cooling water through, and then the other part was they they weren't going to tell their native reservations like what to do with their wastewater.
Oh yeah. No, you can't.
And
Can't
then,
tell them it's res. Do they have the same laws as we do with the res land, or it's their own
no, they're
world? Like,
different. It's a
are they?
different country and like a different fucking thing, so I have no idea. I just know there was like it was like some article I read about how they were like having problems like trying to like be like, "Hey, please do this." And then the other half of the issue was over fertilization in Ohio and then all the rainwater runoff and the fertilizer going into the lake, so there was giant algal blooms which were choking
That
out all
sounds
the fish.
terrible. That sounds
Yeah, like
awful.
there used to be like it's better now. I haven't seen like, the photographs of like the algal blooms are back. So like hopefully they got that shit under control.
Yeah, hopefully. And then call Bates for
Yeah.
that. That's what he does, isn't it?
No,
He
Bates
does all.
does like
Does he? I thought he said he did water treatment or something.
cheese. Yeah, it's like cheese water though. Like he does like
Oh,
water filtration and processing for cheese plants in Wisconsin.
oh, that's fair. Like I listened to I listened to that podcast, and the problem that I had is I would listen on my way to work because at the time it was like a 3 hour
Hmm.
drive, 2 hour drive, and I would lose service halfway through. Like my CarPlay would disconnect on its own, or it just wouldn't play, and then it would start halfway through, and I didn't know where I was, and I was just like, I'll just keep
Hmm.
listening, and it just popped in, and I was like, treatment, water. I'm like, oh, good for him. He's got a good job. Like, sounds important. Like, it sounds like a really important job to have. Like, we need more of that.
What blew my mind was I'm like, why'd you move to Wisconsin? He's like, the houses were way cheaper. I'm like, houses are a lot more expensive in Wisconsin. Where the fuck do I live?
Yeah. Well, that's where, as far as I know, that's where Delato is too. I haven't talked to him in a while,
Him
but
and him and Sergeant Kruger, who came to the hazmat shop as I was leaving. Like, I know he's from up there too.
yeah, I think because Delato stayed with me for a little bit when he got out. Um, and then I remember I came home from work one day and I told him, like, you got to turn off the lights or something during the week. Like, you can't turn on all the lights and the TV and the AC. Like, my power bill's like $1,000. Like, knock it off. And then the next day he was gone. I was like, fuck, I really hope that didn't, like, that wasn't the thing, because he did the Irish goodbye like most of us. Like, you say your thing, you say your bit, and then just one day you're gone. And but he was at the house, so I showed up to my apartment, and he was just gone. I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, this is bullshit. And I didn't hear from him for a while. But I guess he went to it's called the Cordon Bleu, the culinary school,
Oh, okay.
and he did that. But last time I talked to him, he wasn't cooking. He was doing some job, but he had to take it to support his kid or something like that. But I mean, other than that, I think he got married. Like, he's got a kid, cute, a little girl. So, but
Good for
yeah,
him.
yeah, that's how I looked at it. But I was like, dude, get your ass in the kitchen. Like, you went to school for it.
The thing they don't tell you is that kitchens do not pay that well.
They don't. You got to earn your place. You got to. I worked in a bar for a while. Like, thank God I was running a house because I could not have survived being on the line.
Yeah,
I'm
unless
not
you're the
built for
head
that. I'm not
chef at
built
a
for that.
place, you're you're a fucking bitch and you're not making anything.
Yeah, nobody cares about you. They hate you. They yell at you. It's hot, sweaty, long
Yep.
hours. I was never jealous of them.
I thought I wanted to do it for a little while until I actually saw what it entailed, and then I'm like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah, our best. Like, I've thought about going just to go, like, so I can learn to cook better. Because out here we have UNLV, and they have a hospitality department,
Okay.
and part of it's like an actual school of the university where you can go to UNLV and get a bachelor's in culinary or hotel management, or there's some other, like, they have bartending courses, like legitimate college accredited bartending hours, um, bartending school. And my wife's super proud of it because she's got 3 degrees from there now. Um, she's like always bragging. She's like, we're one of the only wet campuses on in the U.S. and blah blah, because they uh, what the hospitality department they did before COVID, and they're trying to start it back up, was they would just send out flyers to like students and staff, or they're like, oh, the hospitality department's putting on whatever, and it's essentially all the kids that are about to graduate. And part of their final is they get the hotel management people that they have to coordinate the whole event. And then you have somebody who plans the whole event. And then you have bartenders, they make a drink menu. But the drink menu has to pair with the chefs and their, 5-course or whatever it is. So we end up going, and I think it was like 3 or 4 courses. We paid $20. We had included 2 or 3 drinks, and it was phenomenal.
Jesus.
It was amazing. And I wish they would do it because it was great food. And they just did it for credit. And that was their thesis. I don't know, like their finishing project. And it was pretty cool. But I thought about going just to go, and I looked up the prereqs. It's like a bunch of classes that I don't want to take. I'm like, no, I just want to take the one how to reverse sear a steak. Like that, how do I take that class? Like that's show me how to use the smoker, right?
That's called YouTube.
Yeah, just like building a car. Like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, and all you hear is, "Hey guys, me again." Like, God damn it.
No, that's what I do for like anything that I actually want to learn. I'm like, all right, YouTube, let's do this.
Yeah, that's how I got through paramedic school, man. Like, Dr. Google and Dr. YouTube taught me medicine. Like,
Oh fuck, Stumbaugh's a plumber right now, and like he
mm-hmm.
actually has his license now. But when he first started, he's like, can't tell you how many times I sat in the company van and I just
Google.
looked it up on YouTube. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now.
Yep,
And I'm like,
3/4,
sweet.
half. Sounds good. Let's do this. He either hates the swing or loves the swing. Give him another minute and see if he changes his mind.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah. No, yeah, like YouTube got me through a lot of stuff. Got me through a lot of places in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Learned how to put in a stage 4 clutch in a Subaru for a job that I was being paid to do. Just laying
Sweet.
underneath it. Harbor Freight jack stands, just waiting for him to give out. Just like looking up how to replace this like 6-puck stage 4. Like, I don't know what any of this means. Oh, it seems important. Also, never replace a clutch on a Subaru. It's the worst thing I've ever done in my life.
I didn't plan on it. I think I'd probably just go old school and just be like, all right, this thing just needs a whole new transmission.
Dude, it was brutal. It was awful. It was the worst thing. I hated it so much. It took us 3 weeks because we
Holy
had to
fuck,
drop.
3 weeks for a clutch?
Well, because the way the Subarus are built, they built like shit. So we had to drop because it was like an STI, it was WRX STI. We had to drop the drivetrain, drop the transmission, and then we had to as we were dropping the tranny and separating it, we had to lift the motor, which meant we had to disconnect radiators. We had to pull brackets. Like it was a nightmare, and it was literally the worst thing. And then it wouldn't line up. Like, don't know what I did wrong to deserve that punishment, but it just would not line up. And then one day I just got in there and yelled, and it popped right in, and it was back together in the day.
Yeah, I know what you did wrong. You were born, and
I mean, pretty much. I decided to work on a Subaru. That's what I
the
did.
second thing you did wrong was learning how to sign your name.
Yeah, it was a
I
mistake.
I describe that as my first mistake in life. I'm like, my first mistake was learning how to sign my name, and I blame my third grade teacher. Everything's been downhill since then.
So, speaking of signing their names, that was completely off topic, but have you seen how the kids now sign their name?
Nope.
So, I haven't seen their signature, right? But I assume that it's probably cursive and something along those lines. A lot of the kids I teach are like 18, 19, young kids. And I'm like, yeah, sign your name here. And they just print their name. And I was just like, oh, no, you can sign it. They're like, no, that's my signature. I'm like, do you guys not learn? And I thought it was maybe 1 or 2 kids, like it's an off, something like that. And I've been teaching for a good amount of years now, and it's a thing. Like nobody knows how to sign their name anymore, which is
Is that just
kind
out
of,
there?
I don't know. It's just what I've been seeing here.
Because I know when I was married, my stepkids, who would be 15, 16, well, no, junior and senior now, I think they are. And they they know how to do cursive.
Yeah, maybe it's just
And
out here. I mean, Nevada does not have the greatest uh, education. Like I think we're 49th in the country, just above like Mississippi, and I don't think that
it's
they
something.
even speak English there.
I don't know what it is, but like I've been to some parts of Mississippi where I'm like, wow, these people are smart and they drive like really nice cars. And
Hmm.
then I've been to other parts where I'm like, all right, I am not unlocking the doors.
Yeah, like I drove when I got
I'd say
out. I
windows
drove.
stay up, but it's summer. Windows always stay up.
Yeah, well, I when I got out, I drove from North Carolina to Salt Lake, and I drove through like the South. Mississippi was terrifying. We bolted through Mississippi pretty quick. But I stopped in Birmingham, Alabama.
I've worked there
Why? I stopped to
because
get
we had a
gas.
we had a site on an Air Force reserve base, which was part of the airport. So I literally got off the plane, got my rental car, drove a mile around the fucking perimeter of the flight line, and got onto the Air Force thing. And then I stayed 20 minutes away in a different town.
Hmm.
And like the one dude who was working the site there also, who was just like, why? This hotel's closer. I'm like, yeah, but this one's better. I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, but it's 20 minutes each way. I'm like, I'm okay with that.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
stopped. Got out of the car to get gas because whatever. I've been in rough places before. I figured I grew up in LA. Like I've seen all kinds of stuff, right? And I go in to get gas and I'm standing in line and everybody's staring at me. But whatever. I figured it's a small town, maybe. I'm not the local. Figured that's what it was. Um, and then I noticed I was the only white guy. But it's the South, like it is what it is. Um, and I get up to the window, and the guy's like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "To get gas." He goes, "No, why are you in Birmingham?" I'm like, "Because my car needs gas." Like I don't know what you're looking for. He goes, "You're the wrong color to be here. You should not be here." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Can I get $20?" He's like, "You can get 10 and you can get the fuck out." I'm like, "Okay, thank you." And I go back to the car. My buddy's just kind of walking around. I'm like, "Look as intimidating as you can. We're getting $10 and we're bouncing." He's like, "Why not? Why aren't you filling the tank?" I'm like, "They won't let me." Like, he's like, "That'll get you to the next. That'll get you out of Alabama." I'm like, "Okay." It was terrifying. Never went back.
Yeah.
Never went back there. And I figured Mississippi was the same way, so we just didn't. I didn't slow down. I just powered through.
So when I was working there, like it was some rougher spots around the edges, but like downtown Birmingham, absolutely fucking stunning and beautiful.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. I wish that hadn't. Maybe I just got up in like a bad neighborhood or something. Like that.
You might
Just
have,
that
because
one
like
place.
where I was working on the airport, like the only thing to eat around there was Subways and like fried chicken, like, KFC, churches, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
so there wasn't anything like nice around there. But if you went into like downtown proper Birmingham, there was like nice restaurants, like
Interesting.
badass barbecue places. Like, I was just like, what the fuck? And then where I was staying, like 20 minutes north, like it was a richer fucking community. And they had everything. They had like a Bass Pro Shop, Starbucks, like all sorts of shit. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Like I'd go get like one of those fast fired fucking pizzas. It wasn't like
Hmm.
Blaze, it was just like one like a local place. I'd go eat a
Yeah.
pizza and then I'd go walk around Bass Pro Shops and look at like, the fish swimming around. I'm like, this is my evening.
That doesn't sound like the worst night.
Yeah, it's not. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
That's nice.
It's like, what'd you do last night? I'm like, walked around Bass Pro Shops and I ate pizza.
I mean, I do like that. Sounds like a great day. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I did it because I'm never around a Bass Pro. Why the
Yeah.
fuck wouldn't I?
Yeah. We have one here, and it's like
Yeah,
to look at it on a map. think it's like 8 miles away, maybe 10, but that's an hour drive because the entire freeway is under construction. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I should have done is when I was working in Memphis, gone to their flagship store, which is like that giant pyramid that you can see from the thruway.
Oh, is that where it is? I've heard
Yeah,
of it.
it's
I
like
didn't know
right
where
in
it was.
Memphis. Yeah, it's like, it's one of those pyramids. It looks like the Luxor, but it's bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I forget what it used to be, but it is now the flagship Bass Pro Shops, and it has like all sorts of like crazy aquariums in there, and of course, boats and guns and fucking
Yeah, all the
clothes
things.
I would never wear. But I'm like, sounds fantastic. I'll get some fucking saltwater taffy and stare at some fish.
Yeah, right. Like that's all I do whenever I go there because I make a whole trip out of it because I'm never there. So I stop in and I'm there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm just looking at things I don't need. Like, why do I need a fly fishing reel? I don't, but it's there. So let's look at it.
Yeah.
So that's all I ever do.
I usually wind up in the gun section and then the hiking section, like the hiking and camping section. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, look at this stuff. It's amazing. And then I'm just like, I
Yeah,
can buy that at REI for cheaper. I can get that at Amazon for cheaper.
yeah,
But I'm like, it's good
yeah.
to
I
see this
usually
stuff.
usually don't buy. I think the last thing I bought there was they usually have pretty decent prices on ammo.
Hmm.
Um, but I'll usually go to Sportsman's for ammo because they have sales, and then I think I bought a slingshot last
Oh,
time I was there.
nice.
Jesus, sorry. He's
He just
doing
wants to
that
say hello.
lately, so yep.
Oh,
He's
I do
been
it
doing
too
that lately.
sometimes.
Yeah, okay. You don't like being held that way? What is it? You know, this way? But yeah, I bought a slingshot because my wife wanted chickens, so we got chickens,
Fuck
and I
yeah.
put because it's so, dude, I hate them so much. I hate them so much. Because it's hot out here. It's like the surface of the sun. So I put like a
Mm,
sunshade over them so they don't, die. Didn't work. Two of them died. They made it a year, but two of them died. The other one I'm convinced is the devil, and I hate that chicken more than like I've told that chicken I'm going to eat it more times than not. But all these fucking pigeons will go and sit under the sunshade, and I don't want those little flying rat cameras infecting the chickens because I eat the eggs. I don't want them, so I just said I'm going to buy a slingshot, and I start whipping BBs at them, and they just don't learn. They don't learn at all. So I ended up buying the Daisy Red Ryder BB gun. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna start
yep.
picking off pigeons. And right when I was about to start shooting, I was like, something didn't feel right. I'm like, I'm gonna look up some laws because I may or may not have had my run-ins with the cops a few times. I'm not trying to play that game again. Turns out that if you are within city limits and you're like shooting pigeons, it's animal cruelty, and it's like a 6-year sentence and like a huge fine.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and like the likeliness of me getting caught doing it slim to none. But I also know my luck, and I'm not trying to push that because, like, for some reason, that's the 1 second a cop pops his head over, like, looking for somebody running. Oh, are you shooting pigeons? Looks like you're the one I was looking for. And then I go to jail again. And you don't want to go down in Vegas. It's not awesome. It's not a super fun time.
No, it doesn't sound like it, especially in a large metropolitan area like that.
No. Well, and I'd already been working, on the ambulance out here, and people recognized me. Like the people that were in jail, and they were like homeless people, or like all these people that I like transported to the hospital. Like, are you a paramedic? I'm like, nah, man, not me. Nope, don't even know what that is. Like the ambulance drivers, yeah, they're weird. They're weird. I'm just trying to keep to myself. I don't want to make friends with these crackheads. Like, get out of here. Like, I'm not trying to live that life, man. Like, I'm just trying to stick to myself and get out.
Uh,
Yeah, don't go to jail here. It's not great.
I mean, it wasn't high on my list of priorities, so if I do, like, I fucked up good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't. It's not
Like, the
good.
first thing will be, how did you wind up in Las Vegas? Then it's going to be, how did you wind up in a jail in Las Vegas?
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is, so you came out here with us, right? You were out here when we, um,
Yeah, I did the
yeah,
desert test and eval.
OT, yeah. So you know where the gold, like California, Fremont, right? All that times when we went to Fremont Street,
Yeah,
that's where they
yeah.
let you out. Like the jail is on the south side of Fremont, like by the
Really?
California and the Golden Nugget and all that. Like you literally get out the Sally ports and then you make an immediate right, and then there's the valet entrance for the Golden Nugget. So I was in there, and I like they released us. I was there for like 28 hours, right? And I'm still a smoker. Like I've moved on to little robot dicks now, but like still nicotine. So I'm 28 hours
Yeah.
without smoking, you know. So 28 hours and I'm just like fiending. And I get out. I'm like, oh, all right, let's go get. I need cigarettes. So I walk into the casino, and first thing I called my wife, my girlfriend at the time. I called my wife. I'm like, hey, I'm out. She's like, all right, cool, I'll come get you. And she knew where it was because she worked on the ambulance too. Like we knew where everybody gets dropped off. I'm like, yeah, I'm outside. I'm in the Valley of the Golden Nugget. They let me out the Sally Ports on whatever H Street or whatever it is. She's like, all right, I'll be there in like 20 minutes. I'm like, cool. So I walk in, I see the Valley. I'm like, hey man, working on my cigarettes. They're like, oh, it's in the gift shop or whatever is inside. I'm like, all right, cool. So I walked in. I'm like, yeah, let me get a pack of Camel Blues. And the guy's like, yeah, that'll be $22. I'm like, the fuck, man? Like, I just got out of jail. You're gonna try and tell me $22? I'm like, can I get a Lucy? And he's just like they do not like that. If you ever want to look like you're the most disgusting piece of shit in the world, tell somebody you just got out of jail in a casino gift shop and ask for a Lucy. They like I was if it wasn't like I already wasn't like all the way down, like it got lower. So I think
What's
I
a
ended up pulling the
Lucy?
trigger. It's just one cigarette, one loose cigarette.
I
I was like, I just
was
like
hoping
let
it
me get a
was
loose, let me get
some
one.
form. Oh, yeah, that's not something I don't know I've ever been exposed to. I think I've seen them
Yeah.
like I forgot where I was, and there was just like a cup that you would see like pencils
Mm-hmm.
in or pen, but it
Yeah.
was like
And there's
right by a
cigarettes.
fucking register. I was
Yeah.
just like, you just sell individuals? They're like, yeah, like, oh, that's cool.
Like $1.
It's like,
Like, yeah,
let me
let
get
me
a
get one.
pack.
Yeah.
I bought a pack and
But
I
yeah, it
left. I
was
was just like,
yeah. That's what I ended up doing. I ended up buying a pack of smokes. And there's a guy that I got released with, and like when you're getting out, like you just try and make friends with everybody so you don't get stabbed up or whatever. And we're out there, and the guy's like, "Oh man, I want a cigarette." I'm like, "Here, man, I got one, whatever I had." And we're just like sharing the cigarette, and my wife pulls up. She goes, "What the fuck? Say goodbye to your jail friends and get in the fucking car." I'm like, "Okay, bye." And I just get in the car and fucking we laugh. Like she rolls up in her little Hyundai Ioniq, this little hybrid, looks like a Prius car, and I'm just
I
standing
know what
there
they are.
sharing a cigarette with some random guy that I just got released from jail. She's like, "What the fuck? Who even are you?" I was like, I used to live a different life. Like this is just a Tuesday for when we were in. Like, we're the same type of people.
This is just like the Marine Corps. Like, I don't know what you're talking
It
about.
it kind of was, you know, just hanging out in the
Yep,
smoke pit.
pretty
But yeah,
much. God, I miss the smoke pit. I don't miss smoking. I kind of stopped.
yeah.
I just woke up one day. I'm like, I'm not smoking anymore. That was it.
I've tried that. I it's got a hold of me. So that's why I use the little vape thing. Like I don't stink anymore.
Mhm.
It's not as bad, but I mean it's still not good for you.
Well, I mean, when I just was on vacation in North Carolina, like I was sucking the robot dick too. Like,
Mm,
but like as soon as vacation was done, I was just like, all right, it's time to go back to work. I'm done with this, and I just handed it right back to my girlfriend. I'm like, here you go. I'm done. I'm like, yeah,
good for
it's
you.
weird because like I'm like when I'm on vacation, I'm like, cool, I'm on vacation, and everyone's just like, I'm like gonna eat and drink and get fucked up. I'm like, I'm gonna vape.
Yep. Well, it's
That's like
we go to
that's my
Mexico.
thing.
That's how I am. Like we go down to Mexico, and it's the only place I'm allowed to smoke cigarettes. So
Okay.
I'm all about our trips to Mexico because we do like
Nice.
all inclusive. We do an all inclusive resort, but I get to smoke, and
Where do you go?
we usually go down to Los Cabos.
So is that in Baja, Cancun
Hmm.
area?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
all the way down like the very tip of Baja. It's
Nice.
I like it. It's great. It's a good time. First time we went, we used the same type of hotels. We used the Ryu hotels, and it's like a chain that they have. They're all inclusive resort type of places. And the first one like set a standard. It was phenomenal. The only thing that they didn't do that they normally would, because it was right at the end of COVID. So every room will have like a bar built into it, where it's like a drink dispenser. And it'll be vodka, rum, gin, tequila, whatever it is, and you take your glass, and put it under there, and you could fill an entire glass of whatever you want because it's all inclusive. The mini fridge is full of like mixers, like Pepsi Coke, stuff like that, and then a 6 pack of either Dos Equis or Tecate. So I walk in the room, crack a beer, pour myself a shot. That's how I do it. With the exception of that time, they didn't have the bar in the room. But we went down there, and it was fucking awesome, man. Like good times, like everything. All these little package deals are fun. Um, there's this ratchet ass bar club called El Squid Row. It is like you can absolutely get hepatitis in this place, like 100%. We roll, and like my Spanish is not great. Like I'm not gonna lie, I know exactly what I look like. Like I look like the leprechaun got super into Mein Kampf. Like I get it. Like I'm not the type of person that should be in Mexico. And I'm just walking around like, hola, mi amigos, que pasa? Like I can get my way through like a general conversation. I can apologize for how bad my Spanish is. And I, we, we roll up, we take this
Still
cab.
laughing at a leprechaun got into my mouth. It's one of the funniest
Like,
fucking
tell me
things
I'm
I've
wrong
ever
though.
heard. But you're not. That's what makes it even better. The leprechaun that got into my
You just
motherfucker, you're
took,
killing me.
you
I
just
love
took
it.
that message a little bit too hard. Took it close to heart. I,
Oh,
I,
you're after me,
I have
Lucky
to.
Charms.
Nine.
Oh, Jesus.
That's the manifesto I got to put into this one's brain. I'm gonna say things like that to him. Unlike you've seen pictures of my wife, right? Yeah. So my wife is not colored like me. She has melanin. All she tells him is that all he has to do is be
She looks
black
like
and
a
die.
dark Italian.
She does. That
Yes.
ooh, there's some Dutch in there. I think that's what's doing it. But
Oh,
she tells
okay.
him all he has to do is be black and die. And I'm like, you can't say that to him. He is see through. This boy is pale. I'm gonna get into so much. I have to go to PTA meetings or something, right? The principal's gonna call, and I'm gonna show up, and they're like, apparently your child thinks he just has to be black and die. I'm like, like what do I say to that? You know, like so
Yeah, I have
my
no
wife and I
idea.
have we've decided that we have to be very careful with the things we say when he gets older and starts like understanding words and can repeat things. Um,
Yes, it's gonna get interesting.
yeah, because she and I,
Not only will they repeat your words, they'll repeat your mannerisms too.
yeah, and like she and I say a lot of dumb shit. Like
Yep.
like just like think of it like how we were raised in the Marines, like the things that we said. She's fairly on point with that. And then you add in with me, like I left the Marine Corps, I worked at a bar for like 5 years, and then I've been in EMS for almost a decade. Like the things that I say are just not okay for a child to repeat, and I'm gonna have to answer for it eventually. But it'll be funny. Like, it'll
Well,
be
fuck yeah.
hilarious. But
I think
I
he'll
don't
be
know.
able to like just make motherfuckers die of laughter, which is a good thing.
I hope so. Well, like, I know that I'm funny because of childhood trauma, and I'm trying to avoid that with him. So he's gonna be pretty. I know this. But if I can make him pretty and funny, he's gonna get chlamydia, and I don't want that for him.
I mean, you don't
You
have
know.
to be pretty to get chlamydia. I mean, just look at Farva.
That was
You
fucking
got it
awesome.
twice.
Oh shit! Do you remember when was it Kelso got the clap and he was going around telling everybody how the doc told him he had the clap?
No.
He went shop to shop. And like normally I don't want to put people's names out there, but I remember this motherfucker told the entire squadron. He just walks, he's like, yeah, just got back. Went and saw the doc, got a bore punch. We're like, that sucks, you know? Because Paco was the same way when he was wandering around. Apparently his ass was just hitting glory holes every weekend. But he's like, yeah, man, the doc comes in and he punched my bore and he does all this. And I heard the door open and then I heard the door close. And I'm just sitting at his desk and he just stood behind me and just, and then walked out. He's like, and that's how I found out that I got the clap. Like, why are you telling me this? Like, you can keep this a secret. Nobody needed to know that story. None of us knew that it burned when you peed. Like, not a single one of us.
No, I think Farva described in very glorious and intricate detail exactly how the boar is punched, and I'm like, all right, I don't think I want the clap. That sounds worse than
No.
anything.
Then the clap. It sounds worse
Yeah,
than
I
the
mean, it
clap.
sounds worse than the clap because once you find out you have the clap, then it's just like an antibiotic, and you're like, all right, I'm done now. But I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. You get a couple shots, take
maybe
some pills, you're good.
maybe it's not worth the antibiotic. Can I just go
I don't know.
crazy like Hitler?
Yeah. Right? To go out the old Al Capone way with that neurosyphilis.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just let me go nuts.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid. I'm gonna say shit like I'm gonna tell him these stories. Like I can't tell him stories because he's gonna think this shit's okay, and I can't. I can't as a good parent allow that. You know,
I mean, you
like if it
can.
happens, like I like as once he's older, you know, like he hits at 18, he's gonna hear everything. But like when he's like 7, I gotta watch myself.
I think you can still tell them some stories when they're like 7 and young. You just have to be careful
Yeah,
because
that's the problem. I
my
just talk.
former stepkid's father, he went Army infantry. He was a mortarman, and then
Hmm.
uh, he got out just before 9/11. Then he went in the Air Force Reserves because there's a Air Force base by Niagara Falls,
Hmm.
and that's where first he did aircraft maintenance and he hated it. So then he went security forces, and he's like, and that's when I got all the stuff that we should have had in the army, like nods and just good
Yeah,
fucking gear. And so he's like, so I know all these tactics, and I got all this great fucking gear now, and that's when it's where it's real fun stories come from. Because his
yeah.
army time, it was just like, oh, by the way, he had the best place to be stationed when he was in the army. He was at fucking Hawaii. I'm like, how come
And
I
people
couldn't have
complain about it. People complain about being stationed in Hawaii. Like, oh no, you poor thing. You live on a
really?
tropical fucking island. Fuck
I
you.
know
I was in
three
Jacksonville.
people, three people who have gotten stationed in Hawaii. No, wait, four people, because I guess Shellhart he was an airframer. So that's my friend who was my stepkid's father, my uncle Jimmy, and a dude that I worked with at this company. He's from New Jersey. all of them fucking loved it.
Dude, I had a buddy
They're
of
like,
mine. We went to we were in Pensacola together,
uh-huh.
and he got ordered to Hawaii, and I was like, "Fuck you!" Like I don't remember what his job. We didn't have the same job. He did something else, but he's like, "Yeah, I fucking hate it here." He's like, "I want to go to the East Coast." I'm like, "You're from LA. Like, why would you want to? Why? There's no good East Coast spaces. You're going to end up in New River. You're going to end up at Toby's with me, and it's going to be the worst. Like, it's going to be terrible." He's like, "Oh, I just go. All I do is go to the beach and like try and hook up with tourists." I'm like, "That sounds like a nightmare. I'm so sorry. Like, you
That's
poor
what everyone
thing."
said, and they said it was great. Although I will say, one guy did tell me that because everything has to be imported there,
Mhm.
beer was ridiculously fucking expensive.
I've
So
heard
he's
that.
like, I fell in love with Blue Hawaiians. He's like, so that's my drink of choice now in life. And I'm just like, I mean, they're not bad. It's not a bad way to go. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah. It's like
that
less
makes
sugar
sense.
than a rum and coke, and it's just, I don't know, fucking delicious.
Not a bad point.
It's really not.
No, no.
I mean, if you were to hand me a Blue Hawaiian and say, here, drink this, I'd be like, fuck yeah, is there a roofie in
Yeah,
this? Maybe.
like I'm not
I'll
gonna say
roll the
no to
dice
free
on that one.
alcohol.
Oh,
Like, I'm not
exactly.
gonna not drink booze. I mean,
And
gonna
at
be
that point,
sober
once I
and
have,
nerd.
well, I mean, it depends on how I want to feel the next day. If it's a work night, probably not.
Yeah, I've had to dial way back in my age.
Yeah, that also is one of those ones where it just woke up one day and I'm just like, all right, so we're turning the dial down just
Yeah,
massively.
yeah. I don't think I believed in hangovers until I was like 25, and then just one day I woke up. I'm like, what happened to me? Like, did I die? Like, did I just get
Hmm.
run over by a truck, beaten up, set on fire, and pissed on? Like, what happened? And that's when I was like, all right, this is a hangover. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I'm like, I'm never drinking again. And then 2 days later, doing it again.
Really? I was told by some older siblings, they're like, oh yeah, that's a hangover. The only way to get rid of it is to keep drinking. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I learned that one too. But
And
I
then
think,
within that
I,
month, I think I started blacking out and just like, oh, what is that? Time travel?
yeah, 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 that's all it is. And then you got to emergency check your text messages and then delete them and act like they didn't happen.
Well, back then was still the day of flip phones because we're that old.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I didn't really
Yeah, I
have that
remember
problem.
that. Yeah, I found a way. Life finds a way.
Yes, it does.
But yeah.
So much simpler with flip phones. But it doesn't delete it off other people's phones.
No, but I deleted it from mine so I could pretend it didn't happen, at least in my head.
Plausible
Nope, I
deniability.
didn't. I didn't do that. It's not on my phone.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nope, you're a liar. You're a
You work for the
bold-faced liar.
government. You planted that on your phone.
Yeah, that's not me. That's not my picture. That's not me. It's not my voicemail. I didn't do that.
That's not my balls.
No, can't prove it is. It's illegal, by the way. It's solicitation.
How did you get those? Those are private. Those are my
Broke into my
privates.
room. Broke into my room. It's rape. I don't take
I'm
kindly to
calling
that.
my lawyer.
I'll see you in hell.
Uh,
Where you at this
fuck yeah,
week?
man. I'm in New Hampshire.
How was it up there? I never made it up north.
It's really fucking beautiful. And like,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of awesome hiking trails and stuff. Like through this town that I'm in. The town is called Salem. Apparently,
Hmm.
there's just Salems all over the fucking place.
I just
It's
thought there was
actually
the
only an
one.
hour. No, there's Salem, Mass, the famous
Hmm.
one. There's
Yeah.
Salem, New Hampshire, where I'm working. It's probably like an hour away. I went there and visited one day, well, one weekend, and then I know there's a Salem, Ohio too, and there's a few others.
I think there's one in like Oregon or something too.
Yeah, I wanted to say Oregon too. But
Yeah.
so when I went to Salem, it was like March or April, Salem, Mass. I went there for like March or April. It was pretty cool. It was nice and chill. And one of my coworkers, he's from somewhere in Massachusetts, like fucking Worcester or something. And he's like, yeah, you don't want to go there in October. I'm like, why? He's like, you're not allowed to park on the street. You fucking park 2 towns over. They fucking shuttle you in. It is just a throng of people. I'm like, holy
Oh,
shit,
I
how do they
believe that.
fit that? And like, it's an old town, so like the streets are super fucking tight, and like there's this one like really cool street that has like a bunch of shops and shit on it, and it's like you you could maybe get fucking 4 people across. And I'm just like, dude, how do they fit all these people? But like they have all the like cool witchy shops and like
Yeah,
tarot places and like crystals and like all that.
that's
Like
cool.
it, yeah, like we
I
went to
like
this
stuff
one
like that.
store, and like me and the girlfriend, and like this lady had like the like goth gig on, and I'm like, cool, she's into heavy metal, my type of people. And like she's like got like the crying face paint on, and I'm just
Yeah,
like all gothed up. And like, she's like checking us out, and I'm just like trying to like, she's like talking about like this, that, or I'm like, do you even listen to heavy metal? And she's just like, what? I'm like, I just left there and I gave her a list of 10 bands to check out that were like
yeah,
goth and hardcore and cool. I'm just like,
yeah,
here you go. You might need this because
yeah.
it goes with your
It's gonna
mystique,
happen.
man.
You need to know 2 names: Pantera and Slayer.
Oh no, I
Because you
was
can
giving her the good
ride.
stuff. Like
Uh,
I'm like, you need Dimmu Borgir and Lorna Shore, and
listen to Lamb of God.
I was trying to think of stuff that was like witch related.
Oh, I got nothing.
Yeah, like I knew Dimmu Borgir is now like a lot of it is like into that realm. Like it
Interesting.
still sounds like Dimmu, but it's like, what the
It's
fuck is
witchy.
going on?
Casting a
And
spell on you.
it's fucking hilarious because uh the guy that sings for Dimmu Borgir, like, have you ever heard his side project?
Hmm.
It's an amazing rock and roll band that he plays guitar for because he's
Mhm.
like, I don't know how to sing rock and roll. So they brought in the dude from the Helicopters,
I don't think I've heard of them.
and they're pretty good.
Yeah,
But the band is called Chrome Division.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, look up the album Booze, Broads, and Beelzebub. And it is, and
Yes.
yes, you will love it. It is all like fucking rock and roll with a 50s rockabilly vibe, but it's not like rockabilly style music.
I,
It's
I'm
fucking
into that.
rock.
I
Yeah.
like that. Like I very much aged out of. I don't want to say I aged out of punk, but I firmly believe. Like somebody told me this when I was younger, is that rockabilly is where punks go to retire,
Okay.
and I've very much fallen into that category. So like I've been listening to a lot of rockabilly the last couple of years.
There's nothing wrong with it. I liked,
No,
fuck, who is it? There's one rockabilly punk band that I fucking liked when we were still in. Oh shit, who was it?
Reverend Horton Heat, Tiger Army was around back then.
I
Um,
like them too.
I really like Tiger Army. I've been on Tiger Army kick for like 6 months.
Tiger Army. Fuck, who was it? I can't remember. I can't think of who they are right now. All I know is like some chick that was playing a stand-up bass and singing at the same time.
Is it Interrupters? No, they're newer.
No.
And I stand by that they're ska.
Ugh. I never got into ska. Couldn't
I
do
didn't
it.
either. I don't hate it. Like I can listen to like Real Big Fish every once in a while. Like they were great for basketball. Um, like I thought that was the perfect soundtrack for basketball.
Right.
But I never got into ska. It was just never my thing.
My dad likes the Mighty Boss Tones, and he handed me their CD one day. He's like, "Here, check this out. You might like it." And I'm like, You listen to the Mighty
No,
Mighty Boss Tones? I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
it's a weird thing to just pull out of the left field.
But he would
Oh,
just like hand me like the most random things, or like he was the first person that played the album Smash by The Offspring for me, and I'm like, this is amazing.
really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I remember the first time I heard that, like, and it was like a brand new fucking, it was a cassette back then.
Yeah.
Like, there's like this thing we do in my family where it's just like, get in the car, let's just drive around for absolutely no reason other than to listen to music and to get out of the house.
I mean, I'm
Like,
into that though. That works.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you drive like 2 minutes away from where I grew up and like you're in the hills and the woods and like middle of fucking nowhere. And it's really
That's
awesome.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So like, we'd go do that and like he's just like, check this out. And he puts on that album Smash and like, what's like the first song on there after that introduction? Nitro? No,
I
it's
can't
not Nitro.
remember.
It, it's the one where, fucking, gets road rage and pulls out a gun. I believe that's the
Oh yeah, yeah,
song.
yeah. Yeah.
Open the glove box, reach inside, gonna wreck
Yeah.
this bad habit. Wreck this fucker's ride, cause I got a bad habit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, I forget how old I was when I first heard it. Like, I had to be in the ballpark of 10 or under. Uh, and I'm just like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life, and I am hooked. And back then I was also listening to fucking Slayer and Megadeth, thanks to my oldest brother.
Yeah.
But I was also listening to Eric Clapton and fucking The Offspring, thanks to my dad. And my sister was
Yeah.
into Nine Inch Nails, so I was just like,
It, it rounds you out.
yeah,
Rounds you
yeah.
out real nice.
Never got on the Blink 182 train until way later in life too, but everyone else in my town loved it. I'm like, eh.
I they're fine. I never really bought into them. Like I won't turn it off, but I'm never gonna seek it out. You
It
know?
never spoke to me. It's just kind of like fun background music, the way that
Hmm.
like modern rap is. I'm like, oh, this is just fun.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know. Like I have on Spotify. I just started. You like songs. You have your liked playlist,
Yeah.
and I just started adding a bunch of songs that like I like. Um, because like I said, like my drive to work, I have to drive from Vegas to super rural Arizona, and there's not a lot of service, so Spotify will drop off. It won't load the next song, whatever it is. But all of your like songs are downloaded to your phone,
Mhm.
like they're saved to your phone. So I was just like, screw it, I'm just gonna make my own. It's not like a playlist; it's just a bunch of songs that I like that I can always listen to over and over again. And my sisters came out here a couple months back, and we were driving somewhere, and it was just going from like it was like a bleeding through song, and then it went to like new rap to 90s rap, like Bone Thugs and Harmony, and then it went to like some rockabilly song, and then it was just like all over the place. And she's just like, "What the fuck are we even listening to?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's my playlist for my drive to work." And she's just like, "Why? Why? Like, what is it?" I'm like, "That's just a bunch of." She's like, "Why do you listen to all of this?" I'm like, "You can't just pigeonhole yourself into one spot. Like, you should, expand your horizon." She's like, "But this makes no sense." Because like I
Mhm.
said, like I'll go from like it was like Iron Maiden, and then it went to like Tupac, and it was
Fuck
just
yeah.
polar opposites. And she's just like, "What the fuck is happening to your music right now?" I'm like, "Oh, I like it."
Now, me and the
Nope.
girlfriend have a Spotify playlist that we just like both add shit into. So like obviously I'm into the more fucking hardcore and heavy stuff, but like I try and keep it on the lighter side for her for that playlist. And then
Yeah.
she's into country and like, modern rap and stuff because she's got a fitness studio. So like
Yeah.
dancier music, as I'd like to describe it. But I'd still also call it rap and also some country sitting there. So there's like Nine-Inch Nails, fucking lighter end of heavy metal, some punk, and country. Like, just, dude, it's all over the fucking map, and it is
Yeah.
one of my favorite
I like stuff like
playlists.
that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, like we put it on when we're doing like arts and crafts or chores and shit, and we're just like, fuck yeah. And then I make her go, I'm like, all right, which version of her? She likes Johnny Cash's better. Can't say I blame her.
Yeah. I like stuff like that. Little boy. Ugh. I just realized that I was thinking about, I feel like podcasts should be more structured. Like anytime I listen
I,
to something, there's like an outline that should be followed, and we're just straight up bullshitting for an hour.
yeah, that's kind of what I love about it is that it is, and like we're hitting the major points where it's just like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Why'd you join the Marine Corps? You didn't have an open contract? Cool. Back to bullshit.
I'm into it.
Yeah. No, I mean, a couple of them have followed that kind of, formatty thing or whatever you want
Mm-hmm.
to fucking call it. But for the most part, like, fuck it. If we're
Just
just
bullshit.
talking and having a good time, whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
if you
fuck it.
want, I can
That's
ask
all
you
that
fucked
matters.
up questions.
I don't think we want those answers.
I mean, all right, let's do it then. All right. Would you rather give the first 90% of a blowjob or the
How did I
last
knew?
10%?
How did I know? How did I know it was going to be a would you rather? I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it.
So I did one of
Oh,
these with Farva, and I
mm,
I was using a different service, and that's why I switched to this now because this one
mm.
just works a lot better and easier. Like it didn't record my audio, and I'm just like motherfucker. But like
Oh
the
yeah, I saw
question
you
I asked
posted
him
that.
was, I'm like, would you rather blow 100 dicks once or one dick 100 times? He's like, let's really think about this.
Let's break it down.
And he's like, if it's the one dick 100 times, I have plausible deniability that he's a liar, Your Honor. I'm like, all right, that's a good choice. You're still a cocksucker. He's like, I knew that's where you're going
Yeah,
with it. I'm like,
all right.
yep.
You're
But I'm
building a
like,
thousand bridges.
hey man, if you want the one 100 times, I mean, you could just make 100 people's day.
Yeah.
You're
I
spreading
feel like
joy.
if you did just 100 randoms, there's no connection. But if you blow one person 100 times, you're going to develop some form of relationship because eventually you're going
Mhm.
to have to like, hey man, how's your day? Good to see you. Oh, that sucks. All right, let's get to it, and then you just get after it, and eventually that builds into a relationship, and that's how they get you.
Oh, yeah.
So
I
if you
saw
want
another great
anonymity,
question. Where it was uh what would you do if all of a sudden you started um coming a pint of ice cream every time you blew your load? And then people found out about this and they just wanted it in their life.
I
And then
feel
what if
it
the next
would be like
step was the
frostbite.
next part of the question was what would you do if President Biden found out that you were blowing a pint of ice cream every time you came and he wanted some?
I'd run this
And
country.
I'm like, oh shit. So I sent it to one of my buddies, like I'd take one for the team and I'd try and choke him.
Well, my concern is, does it come out cold, or is it cold when it hits the air? Like, how is that? What's the mechanics here? Because
Yeah, obviously,
frostbite
if you
going
have blue
eventually.
balls, it must be cold. I mean, they're
It's got to be right.
naturally they're naturally a few degrees cooler than body heat anyways. That's how they work.
Yeah,
That's why they sit
yeah.
outside the body. So I think the real question, and Stumbaugh brought this one up, is like, well, am I if it's cookies and cream, like, does is it hurt? I'm like, that's a
Yeah, like
great
is it
question.
like passing a stone? Right? Does one get stuck and then the ice cream backs up?
I mean, or can it only be
What
like
if,
standard flavors like chocolate, vanilla, strawberry,
yeah,
pistachio? Pistachio is a
I think
regular flavor.
pistachio I think would be more concerning because it's green.
Well, it's green one,
And
but it only has tiny chunks of pistachio in it, but it's still fucking delicious.
yeah, I'm not super into pistachios, but I get where you're going. I get where I can pick up what you're laying down.
It's an
It's
underrated
concerning.
flavor of ice cream. I mean, it's not one that I'm
Yeah.
ever going to pick up on like a daily basis because if I go to the store and not gonna lie, I had a pint of fucking Haagen-Dazs before we started this because it was 98 degrees outside, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm hungry and hot ice cream. But it was chocolate, peanut butter, pretzel.
Oh,
Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
it's fucking great.
That sounds
Chocolate
really
ice
good.
cream with peanut butter ripples, random chunks of chocolate inside, and then just like broken up pretzel bits. It's fucking
That sounds
amazing.
fantastic. See, this is the problem. This is why I'm fat because things like that exist. Like if food was just oatmeal, I'd probably be fucking ripped. But
Ugh,
steak
probably
exists
not.
and potatoes, and
Steak is better for you than oatmeal.
yeah. But I mean, like if it was just bland, you know what I mean? Like if food wasn't delicious, because that's
I
my
mean, I
problem. Like I love,
prefer food to be delicious.
I do too. But that's also why I'm
I mean,
fat.
but I also don't want to sit down with a fucking bag of Doritos anymore. I'd rather just be like, yeah,
No.
man, fucking steak and a fucking loaded baked potato.
Yeah, and that's what we do. Like we go out to before the kid came, and we're trying to get back to it. We would go out to like a date night once a month,
Hell yeah.
and we would pick like a really nice restaurant. So we've hit. I don't want to say all the steakhouses because this is Vegas, and I don't think that's physically possible. But we've hit like the big ones. So like one month we went to Hell's Kitchen, which if you ever are out here, go to Hell's Kitchen.
Okay.
Like that beef Wellington will change your life. It was
Oh
so good.
yeah.
Mac and cheese with like prosciutto, and the potatoes were so
Oh,
smooth. It was just, oh dude,
oh.
so good. It was phenomenal. Um, there's another place out here called Echo and Big that we went to. Been there a couple times. Um, there's a steakhouse called Herbs and Rye that does a happy hour, but instead of happy hour on drinks, it's happy hour on steaks.
That's my
Yeah, so
dream.
like we did, I got like a fillet. It was like an 8 ounce fillet, like really good fillet, and I think it cost like $20.
Fuck
Like
yeah.
it was good. But we ate our body weight in Mexican food 2 nights ago.
I mean, that sounds like a great thing to me.
Yeah. Well, because my wife drinks margarita. I don't drink tequila or margaritas.
I don't blame you.
So she did. They do a margarita flight, and like when you think of like a flight of beers, it's usually like little,
Yeah.
2-3 ounces, something like that, right?
Yeah, something like
These
that.
were these were full like 8 to 10 ounce margaritas,
Holy
and
fuck.
she got 4 of them, and she's like, I can't do this. I'm like, yes, you can. Like I believe in you,
All
because
you,
she
baby.
was
All you.
like she was sober for the better part of a year, with the
Mhm.
kid cooking the kid. So she's slowly working her way back into it, and she
It's
was
not
just like,
cooking a kid, it's bodybuilding.
it's cooking a little cream pie. That's all it is.
Fully baked.
Fully baked. But yeah, it's like she's
Anyways,
slowly
year
starting.
off, all the margaritas.
Yeah, she's like, I can't do it. I'm like, you have to, I believe in you. But it did not sit well with her on top of you know a bunch of like a steak and queso fresco and all the other things. Like it was good. It was really good. Like that's the problem with Vegas, man. Like there's so much good food here. Like, and it's really hard for me to not eat everything.
Dude, I get random like videos of like people making like amazing food stuff like in Vegas. I'm like, God damn it, I need to go
Dude, it's
there. Like,
everywhere.
what the
It's a problem.
fuck?
That's how we figure out. That's how we figure out where we're going on our date nights. Is we'll just go on Instagram and figure out what somebody posted for. Like, oh, you have to try this in Vegas. We're like, all right, cool, let's go try that in Vegas. Like, there's a place called Sliders 50/50.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Have you heard of it, or have you? I don't know if it's just here or if it's other places.
I don't
But they do 50-50 burgers, so it's 50% bacon, 50% hamburger.
know. Ooh.
And they have one. It's like they have like a secret menu item that's like you have to find like some QR code on the table or on the menu or something. Like it's not hidden, but you know what I mean. And it's like the whale burger or something like that. And it's like two 50-50 patties, lobster tail, this billion, like we
Jesus.
call it like $1 billion bacon. It's like thick cut bacon, which is essentially just pork belly cut into strips, like good pork belly. Not like the Jimmy Dean bullshit, like actual bacon.
Oh yeah.
Thick cut, and uh, they'll put that, they cover it in gold dust, and then they add a lobster tail and like caviar and a bottle of like Dom Perignon or some shit. It's like $500 for two people.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, but like the burgers are phenomenal. They do just everything about it's fantastic. We did that, and I was like, this is a mistake.
You did the whale burger? Or you
No,
did
no,
something
I didn't
else?
do it. We did something else. Like I did, she did like the $1 million burger or $1 billion or something like that, but they just coat it in gold dust, like edible gold dust.
Okay.
And they have like candied bacon that goes on there, and it's like a double burger. And it was a spinach artichoke dip and a sourdough bread bowl. Well,
Fucking A.
it hurt to breathe for like 2 hours, but it was worth it. Like that's
I've
all
had
Vegas is
meals
about.
like that. Yeah.
The one thing I
Yeah,
can't
I
see,
would.
I did finally find a good cheesesteak,
Oh,
but the one thing I cannot find is good hush puppies. Like that's
really?
the one thing about the South I miss is like good hush puppies. I just can't
Oh,
find good
fuck
ones.
yeah.
Like I found okay ones, but not like I don't. There was this place I don't remember what it was called. I don't even know if it had a name. If it was actually even a restaurant, or if I just walked into somebody's house. Um, it was out in Jacksonville, and it was like if you remember, you left the New River Gate and you made a left, and you headed towards Wilmington.
Yep.
Um, do you remember Singleton? He was in my show.
Yes. Yeah.
A good old boy, like goofy as shit, but like a state champion wrestler who would just fuck you up for no reason.
Mhm.
Fucking asshole. He used to just beat the shit out of me.
Dude, Haas was the
He looked
same
like
way.
they look like
Well,
they
Haas
can't
always
read,
had
but
a reason.
they're so yeah. Like, they can't read, but fuck, he would beat the shit out of me, and like it's fine. Like I'll teach you how to read. Like it's fine. But he lived in like a double wide. Like, you remember there was like it wasn't like a trailer park, but it was a trailer park for lack of a better word. Like there were a bunch of like neighborhood double wides
Yeah.
on the way. It was on the right hand side if you were driving towards Wilmington. Um, Out that direction, like I took some random road. Like I think it was headed. I don't know where I was going. I don't remember. But I was driving and it was just green. It's just trees and grass. Like once you get out of the city in North Carolina. And I was driving and I saw this sign that said barbecue. I was like, cool, I'm into some barbecue. And it was like a shack that I just walked in and I was like, oh, you have hush puppies? I like hush puppies. I'll like some brisket and some ribs. And it was the best food I'd ever had in my entire life. And it became the staple for hush puppies for me. And I can't find anything that good.
I have
And
that same
that's
problem with bacon, egg, and cheese on a biscuit.
really
Yeah. And do you know where my favorite place to get it was?
where.
You know that gas station where you turn left to go to Stone Bay Ranges?
Yes.
So you leave base, you go to drive down like you're going to Wilmington, and then you take that
Hmm.
left to go to that road. That gas station right there had like a full fucking like restaurant. Well, not a restaurant side, but
Yes.
like,
I
but they had like all the biscuits were like the size of your fucking hand if you hold it up like this. And so like there'd be 2 eggs. The biscuit was phenomenal. Like 2 or 3 slices of fucking cheese and like a bunch of fucking bacon. And I loved it. And I was living in Holly Ridge. So, working nights, I get out at like fucking 6 to fucking 8 in the morning. So this
Yeah.
would be my dinner most days, as I'd fucking go grab 2 of those and then pass out for 4 hours and come back.
Is that the same gas station? Like if you turn left there but you kept going down that road, there was a strip club on the left hand side?
I don't remember.
I think I might be thinking of something a little bit further. But I remember there was like a big gas station that had a little like food in there. And I stopped in there one time when I was on my break. We stopped to get gas, but that's all I did was get gas. Now I really regret not going in there.
Yeah, that one had like fucking old ladies like frying up fucking chicken and making biscuits. Like,
Oh,
and it was
yes.
like,
That's
dude,
it.
like
That's all you need.
I
That's the
tell
best.
people all the time, I'm like, that was the best place to get like I don't know if they had biscuits and gravy, but they had biscuit, egg, and cheese on a fucking yeah, that sandwich. Oh, I fucked so many of those up.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, and then I
I
went
think
to
the
New
one
Jersey
thing
to work for like 4 years, and then I got had to get bacon, egg, and cheese on bagels, and New Jersey's got some great fucking bagels for that.
it's not the worst thing ever.
Fuck no.
One thing we don't have out here is like there's no like the shitty little restaurants. Like they're not shitty, but like they look shitty.
Diners.
Like that. Yeah, there's no diners. There's no like little gas station places that cook like trucker food. Like none of that exists. At least like close. And I
Mhm.
honestly hate it. Like there's one diner. It's the Pepper Mill, but it's
Mhm.
all the way downtown, and it's not really a diner. It's just a restaurant that's been there since ever, and it has a very diner feel.
Right.
But there's no little mom and pop diners. There's not. They don't really exist out here.
Yeah. I have a lot of those out by me.
It's nice. Like that's one thing I
Small
do miss
towns.
about. Yeah, that's one thing I miss about small towns.
Yeah.
But
But on the other hand, you're just like, ah, God, I need like this one random thing, and I can
I
either
can get
order
it.
it online and wait 3 days or drive like 2 fucking hours.
Yeah, yeah. That is the nice thing about Vegas, because everything's 24 hours here, and I always forget that other places aren't like that.
Hmm.
Like if I go somewhere, we're like, oh, let's go get some food, or like I said, like I work in Arizona, and there's small little towns. Um, and I remember I got off of a flight, and it's like 3 a.m. and we were out of service for whatever reason. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get some food. Like I'm super hungry. And like I didn't want the food that I brought. Like I just want like something. And there's everything's closed. Walmart's closed, and McDonald's is closed, and the only thing I could get was like a burrito, and that was just it ruined everything for me. I was super disappointed.
Hmm. Yeah. God, I love food.
Same, it's a real problem for me.
Yeah, my girlfriend makes fun of me for it. She's like, "Do you think about anything other than food?" I'm like, "Yeah, sometimes." She's like, "You don't plan anything out the way you plan out food." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I know."
It's important.
Yeah.
Like we had, I'm trying to eat out less. Like I'm trying to be better because, like I said, I got fat, so I got to deal with that. Um, I'm not working. I don't want to say I'm not working as hard, but like I don't have as a physically demanding job as I used to.
Yep.
So I'm a quick fat. And my wife's like, "Oh, do you want to order something to eat?" I'm like, "No, I'm not really good." And she starts listing off like just quick places. I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, what about L and L?" And I was just like, I mean, like
What's
if you're
L and
gonna,
L?
it's Hawaiian barbecue.
Oh.
And I was like, I mean, like if you want that, I wouldn't say no to Locomoco. Like I could always, I guess, eat some Locomoco. And then I just terrorized an entire plate of mocha like in one sitting, and I felt zero regret. Like I didn't care. It was delicious.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah,
I recently
it's a problem.
discovered the joys of DoorDash, so I know that
It's a
feeling.
problem. It's a real problem
Well, I mean,
because we.
it didn't really exist in my town, and then
Mhm,
my girlfriend lives the other side of my county, where
mhm.
her town is a lot bigger, where there's actually DoorDash, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't have to go pick it up. She's like, nope, they pick it up for you and they'll bring it. And I'm like, ah, sweet.
So the problem that I found with like DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of those like delivery places is it's so expensive.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're doing it every once in a while, like it was actually really nice here during COVID because all the restaurants were open, but you couldn't go into the restaurants. So like you could do like if they had a drive through, you could go through the drive through.
Mhm.
But anybody who worked in food was deemed an essential worker because people have to eat, and you couldn't go to grocery stores except for like you remember all the fucking nonsense that went down. So
I remember.
Uber
I didn't
Eats,
care about
yeah,
any of it.
and well, it was because we're such a big city. There was lockdown. Like Vegas, I drove down the strip during like peak lockdown, like those first 2 weeks where everything got shut down. I was on
Yeah.
the ambulance and I drove down the strip. I have a picture of it somewhere, and it's literally no one on the strip. Like Las Vegas Strip was completely barren, no people walking. I was the only vehicle, and it was
That's
wildly
insane.
uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. So like, that's what happened here. Like everything, like they said lockdown, and everything got shut down for 2 weeks. Everything closed, unless you were deemed essential. So we leaned pretty heavily onto that's when Uber Eats really picked up and like all that stuff started. So during the rest of it, after that, we would start using Uber Eats and Postmates because we're both working on the ambulance, and that's a 12-hour shift that very quickly becomes a 14, sometimes a 16, depending on what's going on. So, I get home, I don't want to cook food, I don't want to do anything. So we'd start Uber Eats and start picking stuff up. The fun thing about Uber Eats now is like I said, I work in Arizona, so I'll fly from Parker to Phoenix, which is about an hour and a half flight, or I'll fly from Fort Mojave to Vegas, it's about 45 minutes, give or take. We
Mhm.
figured out all the restaurants that are close to the hospitals that we're going to, and we've started to figure out, or like other airports and stuff where we go to get gas. Usually it's when we get gas, um, but we will set up an Uber Eats to be ordered and delivered by the time we've dropped off our patient, and we'll just meet them out front of the hospital, get our food, get in the helicopter, and then leave. And it's
Nice.
fucking awesome. Have you had
That is pretty great.
there's a place that works out of Denny's kitchens. And again, I don't know if it's just here, but I know it's Vegas and I know it's Phoenix. It's called the Melty Way,
I've not
and
heard of this now.
they do grilled cheeses, and like they have their staple of just it's like 4 cheese grilled cheese, which is
Oh,
fantastic. But they also have a tri-tip grilled cheese. They have a burnt
oh.
ends grilled cheese. They have like a dessert grilled cheese that has like blueberry jam and whipped cream, and there's a reason I am a quick fat in this fucking city because all of that exists.
So I do remember, I don't remember how long ago it was, but I went to Denny's just because I found out that they had a grilled cheese that had cheese sticks in it.
Oh,
Like this was a regular Denny's item. I'm like, I have to go try this.
yeah, it sounds good. It sounds really
Yeah,
good.
it was amazing. And it was like
Yeah,
$5 or whatever with fries. And I'm just like, sweet.
yeah, sold. Give me two.
Pretty well. I mean, I don't know if I need 2 of the fries, but I'd take 2 of those sandwiches. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, over in Cleveland, there's a grilled cheese restaurant called Melt, and they have
Mhm.
amazing like creations that are just absolutely fucking insane. I wish I could remember
Yeah.
what they had, but yeah, it's really good. All I remember is I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then
There's
I went to
a
the
there's
Rock
a
and Roll Hall of Fame.
I do want to go to that. So
It
I think the
really,
best.
it's hit or miss with what's on display at the time because they
Well, you
rotate
know.
everything in and out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was just
So
like, all there for all the time for whatever reason.
So they have all
You-
the stuff, but they have so much fucking stuff that they do different displays in like different parts of it. And so I think one of the things I saw was they had like an Ohio band section. So Chimera was
That's cool.
fucking uh displayed in there. And then like all the way at the top of the pyramid, it was like the history of like rock and roll in media and like up at the top's like really fucking small, but it was still pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Like, yeah, and down by the base, they had like Motown-ish stuff, and like it was, yeah, I don't remember
That's
exactly,
pretty
but it
cool.
was pretty cool. But it wasn't like phenomenal, and then like what? But the whatever you call it, the people that like work there and are like, hey, like I have a question about this. I mean, it's the Midwest, it's Cleveland. So they're like
Yeah.
super fucking happy and helpful, but also super knowledgeable. And they will like take you down a fucking rabbit hole of just like, all right, you got a touch of the tism, bro? Like what's going on?
You touched.
Like,
That's
like, how
awesome.
much do you know about this? And it's just like, I've been working
All of
here
it.
since
Everything.
1974. It's just like, holy shit.
I was
But
here when
like,
rock
nah,
and roll was invented. I gotta play my
my grandfather invented the electric guitar. It was not invented in Cleveland. How dare you? But like, no, they're like super helpful and super happy, and like they'll tell you like there was like some fucking sequinedy like sparkly fucking dress from like one of the Temptations or whatever, and he was like, I overheard him
Shit.
talking to someone else about it, about like how like this one stitch got fucked up on a TV show and you can see it happen. And by the way, we play it on loop over here. And it's just like, what the hell?
That's
You
oddly
can barely see
specific.
it. I'm just like, yeah, like no, it was. I was impressed by those people, but they didn't have like all the phenomenal stuff out, and apparently they put that out more when they're doing the Hall of Fame inductions.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm like,
They,
yeah, okay, all right.
did you hear about the punk museum they just opened out here?
Yeah, I do believe I fucking like asked you about that.
I
Like
want to
I
go check
saw
it
it like
out.
when it opened. I want to go to that too. Me and Ryan want to
I
make a pilgrimage.
So I guess the guy that founded, opened it, whatever you want to call it, is the what's his name, Fat Mike from the Transplants, and
I thought
every once in a while
Fat
you'll
Mike
go in.
was from MXPX.
Oh,
How many
yeah,
Fat
so
Mikes are there?
I think it is MXPX or NoFX. I don't one
One of the
one of the
X's.
fat one of the X's, one of the Fat Mikes. Um, but he's the guy who created it. And I guess if
Mhm.
you go on there on certain days, he's there. And a friend of mine went, and he took her on a tour of the whole place. Yeah,
Oh, that's so great.
yeah, yeah.
I
Like my
would think that was the coolest.
it's super
Have
cool.
you ever have you ever seen or heard he wrote a musical. I don't know if it ever made it onto Broadway, but he was really trying to.
Fat Mike?
Fat Mike.
No,
And
no. I'll
it's
have to look
like
that up.
you got to look up the song Everybody's a Little Bit Racist. And it's exactly what you expect from that title and Fat Mike.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I want to
just like,
go.
oh
Like
God, this is great.
that's one thing I didn't expect out of Vegas. There's actually some really cool museums here.
Hmm.
Um, like they have the Mob Museum, which 100% tracks. I went. The best part about the Mob Museum is in the basement they have a bar. It's called the Underground,
Sweet.
and during normal business hours, like whatever, like let's say they open at 4 to like 6, right? You can just go in through the museum, whatever, as long as the bar is open during the museum hours. There's big signs that just says the Underground, and you just go down to the bar. The bar itself is phenomenal. They have like this massive selection of like whiskey, but like let's say you wanted to go try something super expensive, right? Like Johnny Blue. Johnny Blue's trash, but if you're into it, I support you. I'll still love you. But it's really expensive. It's like a $250 bottle, right? So if you go to a regular bar and you buy a shot of Johnny Blue, it's going to cost like 15-20 bucks. What you can do is they have this wall, and you essentially get like almost like a gift card. It's like a prepaid little chip card at the bar. Put 20 bucks on it, and then you go and they have this just wall of liquor, right? You go up to the liquor, you find whatever number it is, and you put the card in, and they have multiple sites, so it's not like running 40 feet through some nasty lines. Put in the selection number, and you can choose a quarter ounce, a half ounce, a full ounce, 2 ounces, however much. And you just, pay however much that math is for a quarter ounce of Johnny Blue. And then it pours you a quarter ounce, and you sip on your expensive tasted whiskey. And they have it for like 50 different whiskeys. That they have Pappy Van Winkle, like they have like all the things you've never had, And then along inside the bar, they have all like little museum pieces. So they have like old stills that were used by rum runners or whatever. But the museum itself actually has a working distillery, and they sell it's called the Underground Whiskey or Underground Moonshine or something like that, and it's made at the museum, and they sell it. The museum is in the old Las Vegas City courthouse. So you go to this courthouse, and it's a whole mob museum, and then you go to the basement, and it's a bar. Now, once the museum closes, you can't access the bar, right? Except you can. You go around the back and behind some bushes, and there's the stairs where, like, if you're going to go to jail, where they would take you out to take you to jail.
Nice.
The staircase it's hidden by bushes. You go down there, you knock on the door, and if you know the password, because they put it out on like Instagram like once a week, if you don't know the password, they're like, "Oh, you can't come in," right? But if you know the password, they let you in. It's like this whole like secret, underground bar. It's fucking awesome.
That's
And the best
fucking
part,
great.
the first time I went, my wife was she went to this like magnet high school or whatever, and they were doing like they're trying to do fundraising because it's a private school. So they had their like alumni that have succeeded in life come and give a speech or whatever. And she, at the time, she was working on the ambulance. She had a bachelor's in bio. She had just finished her master's in micro, and she was trying to get into med school. So she came in and she did this whole speech or whatever. The museum was closed, which I was, super upset about because I wanted to go to the museum. But after everybody was done, we went downstairs to the bar and just got wrecked. Like one of the best old fashions I've ever had in my life. We also have the Neon Museum. So like I want my kid to get older so I can take him on all these adventures of places that I want to go to, but like do it under the guise of doing it for the child.
Fuck yeah.
Right? So like the Neon Museum is all of the signs from the old casinos that have been knocked down. So like the Sahara, the Aladdin, like all the old school Vegas signs. Instead of destroying them, they sent them to this place, and now it's a museum.
Fuck yeah.
Super cool. There's the part of the Museum of Natural History is the old Mormon fort, because I didn't know until I learned this. Vegas was actually founded by the Mormons.
Yes.
And I
have heard that somewhere.
And the original fort is still there. So you can go and look at that. And I like stuff like that. They have the Atomic Museum that's all about all the nuclear testing, right? Stuff like it's fucking super cool.
Fuck. That sounds fucking rad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to go do all that. But like first stop is Punk Museum.
Yeah, I'd go to the punk rock museum like a motherfucker.
I'm super excited. Like I'll let you know when I go. Send
Oh,
you a bunch of
fuck yeah.
pictures. If you guys decide to make your
Um,
trip out here, let me know.
I think I'm going to just because it's super easy to get to and there's things to do and like I could have fun
Yeah,
in Vegas. Like
yeah.
I don't like
I
to
got a guest
gamble,
room.
so I'd
Come
like
stay at the house.
I could find other things to do. I travel for work, so I have a ridiculous amount of hotel points.
I live outside of Vegas too. Like so, like most people
Yeah.
when they come to Vegas, they want to do Vegas. Like I live way north, so
Mm,
like I'm a good 20 minutes to the strip plus
yeah.
traffic. So, but it's
Last
always one of those things.
couple,
Like I was,
yeah, I went for like we had an all company meeting there once, and so I left early and like I took my hotel points and I stayed like 3 blocks off the strip.
mhm,
And I'm just like, this is
super
perfect
ghetto, isn't it?
walking distance. No, it wasn't bad.
Dude, everything around the strip is so ghetto. So, fun fact, right? So, like I said, I worked on
Okay.
the ambulance out there almost 6 years, right in Vegas. One of the busiest systems in the country. It's like LA, New York, and Vegas, and Chicago. Um, we would go, you see all the strip and all that stuff. Like we hated the strip, hated the running the strip, just because it's some tourist, they're drunk, they're going to yell at you, they're going to try and fight you. Traffic's
Hmm.
annoying, it's a pain. The upside of driving the strip is in an ambulance here, we can oppose traffic, so we can drive into traffic. So we would drive into traffic on like a Saturday night and just force traffic out of our way because it would be faster than sitting wherever we were. So you'd see all
Hmm.
these out of towners just panic, like fear in their eyes at this ambulance coming at them at like 40 miles an hour, just air horns going, and we're yelling out the windows like, "Get out of the way, you idiot! What are you, stupid?" Like not, like no, like, like they're not. They're panicked because I'm going the wrong direction. But it was one of the most fun things that I can do. Um, but as soon as we just go off the strip, it's just super ghetto. Like behind the Stratosphere is a place called the Naked City. It is one of the most
Okay.
violent places. It's one of the most violent places in the city. Um, then right by UNLV off the strip, I'd say about 5 minutes, maybe less, depending the direction you go. Is this intersection? It's now called Twain and University Center. It used to be called Twain and
Okay.
Swenson. Statistically, the most violent place in Nevada,
Holy shit.
and it's literally 5 minutes off the strip. Like always going in there, we're always running someone overdose, somebody high on meth that's fighting cops, like gunshots, stabbings, assaults, constantly. Like hostage situation. You know how many hostage situations take place in the city? So many.
No, actually, I don't.
Because like technically for a hostage situation, all you need is like, let's say, you're at home with your girlfriend, and the cops want to come in. They have a warrant for whatever reason, and you don't let them in. That's now a hostage situation, right?
Really?
It's barricaded, right? Like you lock your doors, you put something in front of your doors. Now it's a barricade situation, and then SWAT gets involved, and it's a whole thing. Because all you need is
I
one
didn't
person
realize
inside a
that.
locked.
I didn't realize that the barrier for that was so low.
I mean, by all technical standards, like we would do it all the time. We're just like, oh, barricade, like great, awesome. I'm gonna get a 2 hour nap in. SWAT eventually shows up, and then we're not gonna have to do anything. This is gonna be great. We loved getting those because we'd be so tired, and then I find them like, oh yes, I got a nap. And then you hear like water charges going off. You wake up and flashbangs. We're like, did we get them? All right, I'm good. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get out of here then, and then we just leave. Like they'll pull us in. Like we'll do they'll do raids, right? SWAT will request anytime that SWAT does a raid, they have a marshal who's also a paramedic, and that's for the team, right? So like if they get shot, they take care of their people. We can't do that because we're not tactically trained and we don't carry guns, so we can't protect ourselves. We would have to rely on them to protect us. So it becomes like a whole tactical problem.
Right.
So what they do is we're there as a transport, like a treat and transport unit. For if anybody, like officers, always go first because you take care of your own people, and especially if cops are putting people out, they're going to take care of their own people.
Right.
But most of the time, like cops don't really get shot. It's usually somebody else gets hurt from either like they get tased, pepper sprayed, maybe somebody gets shot, but it's fairly rare. So they'll tell us to meet at wherever situation. They do the whole ops act. Like you'll get put on like to a standby, and then you get a phone call, and they're like, "Yeah, you're gonna meet with SWAT at this intersection. They're gonna get there in like an hour, but we're just gonna take you out of service, and you're gonna sit there." So we go there, we sit for an hour, get a nap in. SWAT rolls up, and it's usually behind like an abandoned building, like a Walmart or something like that you wouldn't suspect. They get dressed, they get all their stuff together, and then they come over, they hand us a radio and a map, and then we go listen to their debrief. They're like, all right, this is who we're going for, this is what they did. These are, we've had people watching the house for 2 days. There's no kids in the house, they're there by themselves, they leave the house at this, like it's surprisingly coordinated. And the whole tactic of it goes out the window at the last minute because there's like 3 Bearcats and then an ambulance and like 6 cruisers, and we just run down the middle of the road at like 15 miles an hour, go into a neighborhood. I park, and then you just hear them like police, and then you just hear flashbangs going off, water charges blowing off doors, and we just take a nap for the whole time and listen to the radio. Nobody's shot. Like, cool, we're clear. Here's your radio, and then we bounce.
Jesus.
Like it's an interesting job.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like, massively different than what I deal with every day, which is just like, ah, shit, I gotta fucking go fix that.
Well, like so I went flight 2 years ago, almost, maybe a year
Right.
and a half ago. So I'm not on an ambulance anymore. I'm only flying, and I'm teaching. So I'm teaching at the college here, and that's super annoying right now because I'm creating lectures and it takes forever because I want to put everything I know onto a PowerPoint, and it's really hard to do. Because I just talk, and I'm way better at just talking and explaining than I'm writing it down because my literacy knows no bounds. But I'm per diem flight now because I'm taking care of the kid. So I did my first shift in like 3 weeks, something like that. And it's very much a like, if you don't use it, you lose it type of situation. So I was super nervous. I
Right.
go back to the base that I started at, super high volume, like always somebody's dying, like somebody's super, super sick. And we don't get any calls. Like I get a nap in. I'm like, this is gonna be a good day. Like I'm into this. I like this. I'm here for 24 hours. I don't have to do a full 48. Like I got lunch. Like this is awesome. And then our mechanic walks in. He goes, "Oh, did you guys see that a truck ran into the gas station?" I'm like, "Oh, that's weird." He goes, "Yeah, it's on fire." I'm like, look out, and you see big plumes of black smoke. And I was on the phone with my wife. I'm like, "I got to call you back. Like we're gonna get a flight out of this. Like something's gonna happen." As soon as I hung up the phone, we got put on standby. We're on standby for about 15 minutes, and then we get a call that we're getting a patient. Come to find out, the one day that I work, a semi truck blasts through an intersection at like 50
Ooh.
miles an hour, like small town, takes out 4 or 5 cars, drives
Ooh.
into a gas station. Semi truck rolls onto its side, catches fire, catches the gas station on fire.
Ooh.
11 people involved, 4 dead, 7 transported, and we got one of them. And it's this poor little old lady, and her forehead's all smashed in, and she's got blood in her mouth, and we're just like, cool. And the only thing that I did, like other than just general patient care, I had to intubate her, and I'm like, oh, I haven't done this in almost a month. Like, let's see if I still got it. And then I just like, oh, look at that, I can do my job. Like, it's super dark because we're making jokes because all these these EMS kids in these rural towns, they don't really see super sick people. Like, they don't see big traumas like that very often.
Right.
So I'm having the kid, the EMT, like bag and do all the little work where I don't want to focus on, and she's just like shaking. I'm like, you're good, you're good. It's not your emergency. You're doing great. I go in and intubate this old lady, like we do our thing, and she goes, "Oh, that was really cool." I look at her, I'm like, "Not bad for my first time, right?" And she's just like, "What?" Like, yeah, I've never done this before. She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Today's my first day. How did I do?" And she's just like, "What?" I'm like, I'm just kidding. And I just like we took the patient, we flew her off to the hospital. She's just like, "What the fuck was that?" Yeah, all we do is we just mess with people now. Like
Oh, fuck yeah.
it's an interesting job though. Like it's fun. I enjoy it. Just
Oh,
paralyze
yeah.
some little old lady. We're short on ketamine, but usually we'll just dump somebody into a K-hole and then paralyze them and just put a bunch of drugs into their body.
Oh, man. They tried to give me nitrous when I got my vasectomy, and I'm like, I don't like this. Take this away.
They try to
It
give you
was like
what?
nitrous oxide.
Oh yeah, that shit's weird.
I'm like, I don't fucking like this. And like a bunch of other people would like had it before, and they're like, oh yeah, like not for that, but for other
Yeah,
reasons. And like, I'm
you're
just
just doing
like,
whippets.
what the? No, like medically, like
Yeah, no,
my
I mean it's just whippets.
my girlfriend's sister has like a place that does like Botox and a bunch of other aesthetic shit. Like I
Mm,
forget what type of nurse she is, but something where
aesthetic,
she can do that. Yeah.
aesthetic nursing.
No, but like, it's not an RN and it's not an LPN. She can like, like write scripts for like some things, like
Nurse
not everything.
practitioner.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
And and so she does that, and like so they have Pronox there, which is like I guess a branded form of fucking nitrous. And one of her employees started getting into tiny tattoos, and so they like tested it on my girlfriend, and like it's just like lines and shit, and like
Yeah.
they gave her the Pronox while she was getting the tattoo, and she's like, it was fucking great. I didn't feel a thing and
Yeah.
I didn't care. So I'm like, this is what I was going off of when they asked me at the vasectomy. They're like, "Do you want nitrous?" I'm like, "Sure,
Sure.
why not?"
Why not?
So giving me like I got this mask on, and they're like, "Yeah, it'll probably be like a minute." And like the nurse was like talking to me and stuff. And she's like, "Do you feel anything yet?" I'm like, "No, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel normal, whatever." I'm like, I feel like if it goes down like slightly from this, and I just don't give a shit, whatever, cool. And then the world just went, and I'm like,
No.
and the nurse is
No.
looking at me. She's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, no, I'm not." She's like, "Do you want me to turn the nitrous off?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, I do."
Please do that.
She's like, "All right." So she turns off the nitrous. She's like, "Keep the mask on your face. You're getting pure oxygen right now." And I'm like, "Okay." And then like 30 seconds later, I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You didn't like that?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "That's rare." I'm like, "All right. I don't know why people like that. Fuck that shit."
Yeah.
Now I know if everyone ever offers me that again, I'm like, "Yeah, I would like to give you nitrous for this procedure." I'm gonna be like, "The fuck you will."
Yeah. No, it never appealed to me. It's never wanted to be part of that.
Yeah, I was not a fan.
No.
I'm like,
Like
"Eh,
I I had to get a root canal a couple years back.
right,
And the problem is I'm a ginger. And statistically, anybody with red hair has a very high tolerance for like the cane family. So like lidocaine, xylocaine, like any of those numbing agents. The
okay,
problem that I have, and I hate the dentist. I would rather all my teeth fall out than go to the dentist. Like I don't care. Um, but they're like, no, we'll make you up. We'll do all this. And I'm like, look, you need to put it in your chart. Like the Novocaine, lidocaine, it does not work on me. Like you have to go to the max dose, and even then, I'm probably still going to feel it. They're just like, no, it'll be fine. We got the oral surgeon. He's really, really good. I'm like, all right. And they told me they're like, he'll have extra stuff. Okay. Like, I'm into that. Because pretty much I'm going to show up. They're going to give it to me. And then I'm going to tell them it's not going to work. So I'll get something else. Every dentist does not listen. Every single fucking one of them is fucking monsters. So I go in there, and they're just loading me up with lidocaine, and they're like, "Oh, can you still feel it?" I'm like, "Yes." They're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, I fucking told you this. They're like, "Well, how do you know?" Like, because I've been dealing with this since I was a kid. Like, it doesn't work. Like, do you have anything? They're like, "Well, usually I have nitrous," and I'm just like, "Put it in my body." Like, I don't care. Like, do something. Where is the Michael Jackson sleepy juice? Give me the fucking propofol. Like, put me to fucking sleep. You have MD at the end of, or DO, or whatever the hell, Dr. DDM, that's what it is. Like, you are a fucking doctor. You went to medical school. Get the fucking script pad out and give me some happy medicine. And he's just like, everybody's usually really good with lidocaine, so like, I didn't bring anything. Because the oral surgeon, like, he has his own like little surgical suite in the dentist's office, but he doesn't normally work there. Like, he just shows up by appointment. He's like, so all I have is lidocaine. I'm like, you motherfucker. I'm like, go find something. He's like, well, we're almost done. I'm like, no, you're not. You're a fucking liar, and I already know this. Fun part about this is like, I told them this. Like, I had violently told them. Like, I can feel everything. And like, he had kind of gotten me to a point where I was moderately numbed. And he's like poking my little root of my tooth. He's like, can you feel that? Can you feel that? I'm like, no. He goes, all right. He goes, most people, he's like, just so you know, most people have two or three nerve endings in each tooth. I'm like, okay. Do I not have any? Like, where is this going? Like, am I a freak? What the fuck are you trying to tell? What are you trying to say to me? He goes, well, you have four. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm at my max of lidocaine. Like, I can't give you any more medicine. I'm like, yeah, you can. I believe in you. He's like, no, I can't. Like, it's dangerous at this point. I'm like, that's fine. I don't give a fuck. Like, give it to me. Put it in my body. He goes, well, I numbed up 3 nerves. I'm like, where's the fucking lidocaine? I'm like, why can't you give me any more? Like, I'm awake, I'm fine, I feel okay. Like, I can make a rational decision, and that decision is to give me more fucking lidocaine. He goes, well, I don't have any more.
Jesus Christ, man.
Okay, so are we done for the day? Like, what? You gotta go get some? Like, you send somebody to the 7-Eleven? Like, what the fuck is the plan? He goes, I'm gonna do this quick. And I'm like, you're gonna do fucking what quick? He goes, I need you to hold really still. And he proceeded to drill out an entire nerve ending in my fucking mouth without any fucking sedation. Like, did you ever see the horror movie The Tooth Fairy?
No.
It's a super B movie. Like, it's 10, 20 years old. Like, it's old as shit. But essentially, this guy is like a serial killer, and he snatches people up, and he has like a dentist chair, and he just takes the drill and he just drills their fucking teeth out. Right? Like, that's how he tortures and kills people. And that's all I could see in my fucking brain while I felt every bit of that fucking drill with zero sedation. And it was legitimately torture. Like, he's like, oh, you did really good. And he pulled the drill out. I'm just like, fuck you. Like, I was so mad. And he's like, oh man, yeah, I've just never had anybody like with that high of a tolerance. I'm like, maybe you fucking listen to me, you piece of shit. Fuck you. Finish. Just fucking, dude, it was awful. Going to get like all the crown placed. And the dental assistant, like, very nice girl, very, like, it's not her problem in any way. And she's like, do you want some lidocaine? And I'm like, fucking kill everyone. You mean to tell me there was more? You have more? She goes, yeah, the dentist here has a bunch. Cool. So I just went through legal torture, and I paid you. Awesome. Super excited about this. I just paid $2,000 to be tortured. This is fucking
So
awesome.
this motherfucker couldn't walk one room over and be like, hey, bro, you got any lidocaine?
That's exactly the fucking question I had. And I took everything for me not to yell at her because like I had to have that conscious thought, like she didn't do it. You know, like it wasn't her decision. She had no part in this. She's just there to put the crown on. And I was just like, I've not been back to the dentist since. This was like 3 years ago. And I refuse to go. My wife yells at me all the time. She's like, gingivitis leads to heart failure. I'm like, good. My heart will fail before I go back to a fucking dentist. Like, I'm not doing it.
I mean, I can understand that's why people hate dentists. I just haven't been to one because I'm like, they're only open Monday to Friday. That's when I fucking work. I'm gone.
Yeah, yeah. But you don't need it. Just brush your teeth. You'll be fine. I believe in you.
Yep, that's pretty much what I do. I brush. I
I'm
got those
still,
little flossers. I got some
yeah,
mouthwash. I'm good.
yeah, you're good. That's all you need.
Pretty
Like, I
much.
firmly believe that dentistry is bullshit.
I
Unless you
also
lose a
have never
tooth.
had a cavity.
Really?
Really.
So, super fun fact, that root canal came from a cavity. It wasn't a cavity that I had. It was when I was a kid. I had a cavity, and they filled it wrong, and that caused a fucking root canal. So the dentist caused me to get a root canal. And like every time my wife tries to tell me that the dentist will help me, I'm like, no, because and then I just go off on a tangent for like 20 minutes. But she's essentially given up that fight. But every once in a while, she'll bring it up. She's like, you need to go to the dentist. I'm like, no, I'll tell you I'm going. I'll go sit in the parking lot, and my phone will show that I'm there. But I'm not going in there. I'm not. She keeps making me appointments, and I just pretend I don't know about them. Like, oh, I forgot. No, I'm fully aware. I'm not going. I'm not doing it. Because the other one, did you go to dental when you got out?
Yes.
Those motherfuckers, they carved an appointment into my fucking gums. Um, they actually, I thought I was going to get in a lot of trouble because I did it right before I got out, and I tattooed my lip, the inside of my lip, like 2 years before I got out, and like nobody ever sees it, right?
I think I remember
So I'm like,
that.
yeah, like I went on leave and I was like, fuck it, let's tattoo the inside of my lip, let's see what happens, and it still looks good. Like it's, from what I've heard, like one of the best holding up lip tattoos anybody's ever seen. Um, but I go in to get dental, and I remember it was a colonel, or I guess a captain, because he made me. Um, and he's like cleaning my teeth, and he like pulls my lip down, and he's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Well, I forgot I had it." He goes, "You have a tattoo?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I had that before I got in. It should be in my record." And it was just like a full panic response, and he just looks at me and he's like, "Uh huh." I'm like, "Yeah, it's weird that nobody saw it, and I'm getting out next week, and nobody has ever said anything about it." He's just like, "Okay," and then that was the end of it. Like, luckily, I got a guy who was just super fucking cool. Like, because I never went to dental when I was in either, because they're all fucking savages.
Yeah, they pulled my wisdom teeth, but it took them 2 times to do it. So I got 3 removed the first time, and the last one wasn't ready. So I had to wait like another like year and a half.
I heard it was fun. I heard getting your wisdom teeth out in the military is literally the worst things that could happen to you,
I honestly
because they
think
don't.
the worst part about it was when it was putting the needle in for the lidocaine for me.
Oh, I hate that so much.
I mean, that
I
was it.
I heard what they do is they essentially, like, they numb you up, and then they take like a little chisel and they break the teeth into 4 pieces, and they just pull the pieces out. That's what I
I
was
don't know.
told,
I know they
and that
had
created a
like
very real feeling.
mine weren't like fully out. They were just like showing through the fucking gum in the back. So
Mm-hmm.
they had to like cut and pull.
No,
So I don't know
it sounds
about
awful.
fucking like I don't remember. It was fucking 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Maybe 19. It was a while
that.
ago.
I also don't like to think about how long ago I was in. That makes me feel real old because I'd be retiring next year.
I would have been retired in July.
Yeah, I'd be retiring in January,
Hmm.
which
No,
hurts.
like
Like,
yeah, all the dudes that I went in with are fucking retiring. That, the
you
ones that
ever,
stayed at least.
yeah, you ever regret not staying?
Uh I mean, there's moments where I'm like, man, I wish I would have stayed in. It was so much fun. And then I wait 30 seconds and I remember the dumb shit. And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have liked that. And then I'm
Yeah,
like, I think of like the things that would have been like happening like through that time frame. And I'm like, no, that sounds horrible.
yeah. I almost went back in when I got out because I had a real rough time when I first got out. Um,
I had a
I
serious think about it, but I opted to not.
so when I got out, my buddy got me a job at some food warehouse, and like I didn't
Uh-huh.
care, it was a job, and I fucking hated it. Like, but it paid the bills, so whatever. I just kept going, and we decided we were going to quit one day, so we quit, and then I didn't have a job, and that just kind of led to a spiral of unfortunate events where like I ended up not having money. I tried to start a school, that didn't work. Like just at so for a series of I'd say 6 months, I was just finding odd jobs to pay rent and keep eating. Very, very close to like I don't want to say I was like almost homeless, but like I was very much headed that path if I hadn't found a job.
Mhm.
Um, so I was like, fuck it, like I need a job, I need a roof over my head, so I'll go back in. Right, I was already in, and I was like, I'm not going to go back to the Marine Corps. So I sat outside of an Army recruiter's office, and I like had like a mental breakdown. I'm like, I can't do it, I can't do it. Like I can't because it was more like I felt like I couldn't survive on my own rather
Mhm.
than going back. It was that I couldn't do it. So like that was more the problem that I had. But I ended up getting a job and kind of straightened my shit out. I started school, and I started school for helicopters, for flying helicopters, because the GI Bill will pay for flight school. And I started flying, and I was coming up for my private test, and same thing happened. Like I had a shitty job that wasn't really paying the bills. Like I had BAH from the GI Bill, but
Mhm.
it was barely covering all my bill. Like I was still kind of check to check, and I was like I'll go to the Army. I'll be a warrant officer. Like I already started flight school. Like I'll go fly Apaches or I'll fly Little Bird. Like I'll do something fucking cool. And I went in and I talked to him. And at that point, I had been a mechanic for a while. And I had tattooed my knuckles and my hands, and I knew the Marine Corps wouldn't take me back because of that. Um, but I also knew that if I went to the Army, I had a better chance of being a warrant officer. I could get into flight school, and even if I didn't, I would still keep my rank. I wouldn't, drop back down or anything like that. Plus, it's the Army, so it's easier.
Mhm.
And I went in and talked to a recruiter. I'm like, hey man, like I want to be a warrant officer. I want to fly Apaches. He's just like, the fuck? Like, who are you, a pilot now? I'm like, I'm halfway through school. And he goes, cool, let's take some pictures. And he like looked into it and he saw my hands. He goes, fuck, I don't know if that's like you. He's like, I don't know if it's gonna work. Because they still at the time had their tattoo policy like the Marine Corps did. And I was like, all right, so what do I do? He's like, finish flight school, get all your shit, and then come back. They're talking about changing policies. So by then, we'll get you in a suit. Don't tailor the arms so that when you go to like attention, the sleeves will cover your hands. And then if they say yes, they can't really take it back. I was like, oh, cool. Sounds like a good plan. And then I ended up quitting flight school because the VA fucked me. Found another job. I went to school to do like automotive repair. And then I found out that they had nothing to teach me.
Mhm.
Like I went to the suspension class and I just replaced an entire front end on like some like truck by myself. Like we were supposed to be working as a team, and like nobody showed up for my group for one day, and I was just like, cool, I need all of these parts. And when I got the parts, I came back and I just installed like name a name a front end suspension part on like I think it was a Bronco, and I
Uh-huh.
replaced every single in like 3 hours. I had a whole front end suspension job done. Only thing I didn't know how to do was an alignment. So they walked me over the alignment and they showed me how to do that. And my teacher's like, "Where's the rest of your group?" I'm like, "I don't know if I can know." He goes, "Do you know what you're doing here?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, yeah, like check it. Like it's bolt on parts. Like I'm not reinventing the fucking wheel. Like I take one bolt out, I pulled the part. I put the new part in. I put the fucking bolt in. Like, this is not a hard job. And like he
Yeah.
looked a little insulted, and he looks at it. He goes, "Fuck, yeah, this is all really good. All right, cool. Throw it on the rack." And then we sent it off, and it turns out it was the guy who founded the college. It was like his son or something. Like, you can't order $1,000 worth of parts. I'm like, he fucking needs $1,000 worth of parts. Like, I don't know what the fuck you want from me. Like, we're not billing hours, so like he's paying $12 for my fucking free labor. Like, get fucked. But I was like, this is boring. So then I went to auto body. He taught me how to weld, and I'm like, that's all I wanted out of this. So I quit that.
Dude, I just had a welder look at me one day on a fucking site, and he goes, "Hey, you want to try this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've never done it before." He
It's
goes, "Well,
not
this is what you
hard.
do," and I'm just like, "All right." I'm like, "This is great."
Yeah, it's not a hard job. Like, the hardest part about welding is setting up your machine. That's it.
I mean,
And TIG
he said
welding.
I
TIG
had no
welding's a
idea what
fucking
was
nightmare.
going on with that. He was just like, "So this is what you're gonna do. You just do this," and I'm like, "Cool." He's like, "I mean, yeah." I was just fucking around
That's
one
it.
day.
That's it. It's just like a little doot 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 doot, and then you're done welding. It's
Well,
easy. You
yeah,
make
he
so
only
much
had me
fucking
doing
money.
like one thing, like just showed me like one technique on like one very specific thing that we were doing, and I was just like, cool. Like I do not consider myself a welder. I'm like I could probably like tack weld a few things together if I
Yeah.
had to, but I mean, I would not say I'm a welder.
No, not. I'm not even a little bit, but I could do the same thing. Like, I could probably lay a bead, but I don't know how to set up the machine anymore. So I've actually thought about going back to school for that.
I
Only
think
problem
I'd
is like
just go to YouTube for that.
I mean, honestly, probably. But if you go to school, I don't have to pay for a welder to or material to fuck it up.
Oh, good point.
Because I get the nice thing about teaching at the college is I get 6 free credits a semester, so I can just
Ooh.
take whatever class I want. So I thought about just doing like because I got my associates, I finished that. I didn't pay for. I paid $400 for transfer credits. That was it,
Mhm.
and the rest of the degree was either the GI Bill or from working at the school. But
Nice.
I thought about it, but I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do when I grow up.
I want to take money and turn it into more money.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, me too.
I did
I don't
think
think
about
I'm
going to
smart
school
enough
for
to do
like.
that.
I thought about going to like business school just to learn how to do that,
Oh,
but
fuck yeah.
I'm too stupid. I got my
Yeah, it's all
retirement plan.
fucking, it's all machines now.
Yeah, my wife's my retirement plan, so
My retirement plan is my brother's kids.
nice.
I've already
Yeah, I got to
started,
put in a little bit of
paying
time.
them off. I've already started paying them off. Last time I saw them, I gave them all, I forget if it was like 20 or $40, but I was just like, hey, remember me when I'm dying.
Right?
The oldest one said, "Don't worry, Uncle Steve, we'll put you in a good home." I said, "That's the plan.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Just put me in
Thank
a good
you.
home."
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, it also helps that I made them the best tacos they've ever had in their lives.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
What kind?
Berea.
Oh, it's one thing I don't know how to make. I
Oh,
really
it's
want to learn how to
so
make that.
fucking easy. If
I
you
just haven't
can
done it.
boil water and then turn down the fucking flames so it simmers, you can make Berea.
That's on
Like
my list of things to learn. Did you do goat or did you do beef?
it was chuck roast because my brother's still in and he's stationed up in Alaska, so like, it's just like I had to bring the fucking peppers with me because they weren't gonna get them. I was just
Man, it is
like
hot
telling
out
his
there.
wife, I'm like, here's what I need you to get, and like, half the list was spices that she already had in her cabinet anyways, and then it was just like chuck and then something with a bone in it. It's just like whatever, we'll figure it out.
That's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, like, you make the fucking sauce and then you're just boiling meat until it shreds.
fair. It never looked hard. I've just never attempted it.
That's the thing is like if you can fucking turn a stove on and then walk away, you're there. Like so the point of it is like you're overfilling that pot with water and then
Mhm.
basically that sauce that you make with the guajillo peppers and the onions, cumin and like all that shit, like that's coming out in solution into the water. All the beef flavor is coming out in solution into the water. And then you're just slowly boiling it down. So, like, you're leaving the lid slightly off of it so that water can escape, but over the course of like 12, 14 hours. And like slow
Interesting.
fucking simmer, letting the water come out. So you're not making like condensed, like it's coming down to fucking just the beef in there. Because you still want a good amount of water on it. But you want
Yeah.
that layer of fat on top so you can take the fucking tortillas, throw them in that fat on top, then cook those off, throw some of the shredded beef in there with it, with the cheese, and make the little cheesy fucking
God,
beautiful
that sounds so good.
tacos.
God, that
Yeah,
sounds so good.
it's time consuming, but so fucking worth it.
Yeah. Like I do well with the time consuming stuff. Like I got a wild pear at my ass a while back, and I was like, I'm gonna make jambalaya.
Fuck yeah.
Never made jambalaya a day in my life. And I gave some to her parent, my wife's parents, and then a friend of ours who lived in the South for a long time.
Mhm.
And like that's a fair test, you know. And everybody was super into it. So I was just like, all right, do that. I just one day decided I was gonna make cornbread. Came out fucking amazing. Like if apparently I can sort of cook, but then like I'll fuck up something super simple. Like for the longest time I couldn't cook rice. Like I would just burn it. I would just fuck it up, and I have no idea why. I'd follow
It's fickle.
directions to it. It made
Yeah.
no sense.
I fucked it up in a rice cooker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I'm not consistent with rice either, so don't worry.
that makes me feel better.
Yeah. But then again, I'm also not like trying to make it all the time. Like, I'm a fucking spaghetti eater, bro.
Yeah, I
You
haven't
give
had
me
spaghetti
spaghetti
in
and
a while.
meatballs, I am a happy man.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
so I do
excited for
that too.
fall.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
excited for fall because I get to make the big pot of fucking meatballs, and I'm gonna be like,
that sounds good.
mine.
I did a while back. I just got, like I said, I was just on this kick where I just started cooking, and I made pasta from scratch, meatballs from scratch, and sauce from scratch.
Fuck yeah.
And I never attempted any of those things ever before in my entire life. The meatballs came out better than I ever could have dreamed.
Yep.
And I did them in the oven. Like I finished them in the oven, and I kept the recipe, and then I lost it, and I'm furious because I can't find them.
Meatballs aren't that
This,
hard. You just need the meat, the binder, the
mhm,
breadcrumbs, and then some seasoning of your choice. The game winning move then is to like sear the outside real quick, then throw them in your sauce. And it's the same thing, like I said, with the burrito, which is why I took to the burrito so easily. Overload it with water and then let it come down. Same thing, all the meat flavor is going to come out into solution, and then you're going to lose out some of the water, and you're going to get a more concentrated flavor of the meat and then whatever else you threw in the sauce. But since you seared the outside to hold it together, and then you're slow cooking it down, so then the inside of the meatball is super fucking tender.
I will have to try that.
That's how you
Yeah,
make a
'cause
fucking meatball.
so I think the problem is that I found separate recipes for all three things. So
Mhm.
like that connection never occurred. But that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
I might have to try that. I might have to do that
So as
again.
you start like cooking and looking into things more, you're going to see that a lot of things are just like the same thing presented in a different fucking package, and it's just
Yeah.
finding that the spices that you like and like speak to you, and like you're like, this is fucking great. Like, and then you can like make your own version of that using the principles of that. So if like you find like the science of fucking cooking and the science of doing things and like how different meats respond like in doing whatever, like
Mhm.
everything will start making way more sense and you can just start like riffing away.
See, and that's kind of why I want to bypass all of that hard work, and that's why I was going to go to the cooking school because they could just tell me how that works.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it. Or you can just fuck around and
Because
find out.
yeah, it seems more expensive though. Well, not
Yeah.
really. School is
That's
expensive.
how I did it though. I was just like, oh, and then like somebody would say something to me and then, I'd do something else and be like, hey, I did this. And like, oh, maybe try it like this. And it's just like, I like that way better. Or like learning how to cut an onion fucking faster. It's just like, oh, if you do it like this, I'm just like, sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll have to. I got to start doing it. I've been lazy lately, but this one takes up a lot of free time.
that is understandable.
They're wild. They're way more demanding than I expected.
That's because they're completely helpless.
Yeah, I keep telling my mom. She's like, babies can't be manipulative. I'm like, I call bullshit. I think he knows what he's doing. I think he understands exactly what's up. It's like the dog. Like my dog speaks English. I know he does. He just does. He just chooses not to. You know, like he knows what I'm saying. He just acts like he's
Is
like,
that
nah,
is
just a
that the
dumbass dog.
magnanimous Versace?
Yes,
I've heard about him. He's famous on the internet.
he is. I've been really bad about his Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, you did just have a kid.
Yeah, even before then, I was just being lazy. But
Yeah.
he's a good dog, man. He's a pain in the ass, but he broke. He somehow pulled a whole blanket through his kennel, and I was looking at it like if you paid me money, I don't think I could have figured it out like he did. Like because the slats in the kennel are like an inch by like maybe 5 inches, and he pulled like a full size blanket halfway through, and I it physically makes no sense to me. It took me 20 minutes to get it out, and 10 of those minutes were figuring out how to get it out. Like, I don't know what he did. I have zero fucking clue how it happened. It was honestly really impressive. Like, I
He's
couldn't even
just a
be mad.
savage.
He is. He's a fucking monster. But we got him. He was definitely going to get killed. Like the shelter he was at because he hates other
Yep.
dogs. And he's a pitbull. So um, we didn't learn this until we took him home. But the shelter we were at, they had like these little different colored paw things, and the color associates to the dog's behavior. And I had no fucking idea. Nobody told us any of this because we walked by him in his little fucking doggy jail cell, and he just rolls over. He folds like a table, and he just wants belly scratches. And we took him for a walk, and he's jumping up on us. He's licking it like he's a super friendly dog. We go by another dog, and he kind of barks. We're like, it's a dog, you know. Um, we decide to pull the trigger. We're going to take him home. We're doing the paperwork, and the guy looks through. He goes, "Oh, I've never seen an orange paw before." What the fuck does that mean? He goes, "Oh, it means that he's very aggressive and borderline violent." And we look over at him, and he's just dead in the eyes, just stupid tail wagging, tongue hanging out. We're like, "This fucking dog?" Like, no fucking way. Like bullshit. And like he's honestly like he loves people, but he will murder another dog, and we have no idea why.
Probably something from before you got him that you'll never be able to
Yeah.
figure out.
Yeah, just super annoying because he was definitely somebody's dog. Because I got him into my apartment, he was crate trained. Like I set up a crate, he went right into it. He's house trained. He still had his balls. So what our theory is that somebody got him as a puppy, and he got a lot of energy, and then he probably matured to a point. And there were other dogs in the house, and either they picked on him or something happened and they got rid of him. So that's our working theory.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a great dog. He loves people. Like I don't want to say he's the worst guard dog ever. Like if we're awake and like he knows people are kind of like people are going to be around. Like my mother-in-law comes over, whatever, he runs to the door, bring you a toy. You know, like he is just absolutely worthless. At 2 a.m., he hears the slightest sound, and it is murder. He is he's trying to take out doors and windows to get to whatever sound he heard. So he's hit or miss,
Yeah.
but I'd rather him be good with people than be an asshole. He's good with the kid, so.
Yeah. Well, that's fucking pretty awesome that he's good with the kid then, because I was actually going to ask that. How is he with the new baby? Because sometimes
He's great.
dogs don't.
He's very jealous that he doesn't get the attention that he was getting before. And I do feel bad because like we don't play with him as much because we're focused on the kid. But he'll climb up on the bed and lay next to him. He tries to lick him. He's obsessed with smelling him. Our big fear was, I guess, pit bulls are known to lay on babies, and for no reason other than they just want to lay with them, because like, he lays on me, he lays on my wife. He'll sleep on our pillows in the bed, and we'll lay on him. So it's just kind of that's how the relationship is. So I guess pit bulls, and not just pit bulls, but dogs will lay on the baby, and that's just how they are. But the problem is that he's got such a big fucking heavy ass head that they will smother the baby.
Yes.
So we were very, very cautious with that, and he's actually really good about it. Like he'll usually stay about a foot away from him and just keep an eye on him. Like he hasn't tried to climb into his bassinet, or he doesn't try and sit on him or anything like that. So he's actually done really, really well.
Nice.
Yeah, I was pretty happy about it.
Well, I'm glad to hear everything's working out, bro.
Yeah, man, me too. What are your plans for after this?
Eat something, go to bed. I'm 3 hours ahead of you.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, go get some food. Go get you something to eat.
Hell yeah, I got some chicken prepped and waiting for me.
Don't they have
I'm excited
don't
like
they do
that.
maple syrup up there?
Fuck yeah, man.
Isn't that a thing?
Yeah.
Go
I
get
mean,
you
maple
some. Go
syrup's
get you
over
some.
by me too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's that whole northeast area, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much from New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont, New Hampshire, I'm sure Massachusetts somewhere. Hell, I've even seen like local maple syrup in historic Williamsburg, Virginia.
Oh, it's fancy.
Yeah. I was just like, damn, they got fucking their own stuff down here too. It was like, sweet.
Good for them.
Yeah.
I just buy
But
Mrs.
like,
Buttersworth.
fuck that shit. It's not even,
I got
it's corn syrup.
no options.
They gotta have maple syrup out there shipped in from somewhere.
I'm sure they
Even
do. I just
Canadian
don't
would
look
be
for it.
okay. Yeah.
My wife did have a bottle of Canadian maple syrup for a while, and then we polished it off. And we have the bottle somewhere, but I think she said that the place that made it closed. So I thought about getting something for
Mm.
her, but I gotta look it up.
That's it. I'm gonna have to like find someone send it to you now.
Yeah, let me know a brand, and I'll do some research because I don't know.
I mean,
It's all syrup to me.
I just go to this one store that sells like local stuff.
And yeah, like we just don't have that. Like I'll go to
Yeah, but
Costco.
like,
It's in Costco. Like
I mean, I don't know what they have in Costco for maple syrup, but I'm sure they have some real stuff somewhere.
something. I got to do some research, do some looking around.
I don't know. Dude, there's no Costco's over by where I live either.
That sucks. I love Costco. I hate Costco, but I love Costco.
But we do have, so they're out of Rochester, New York. It's this pretty badass grocery store called Wegmans.
Mhm.
And like, they legitimately compete with like Whole Foods and like stuff like that, but they also just have normal stuff too.
Yeah.
And then they have like a badass, like, like hot food section and sushi and other stuff too. And like, their bakery bread is legit, like fucking like French breads and stuff and
Yeah.
croissants and like other shit. Like, the place is fucking badass. Like, I don't like them for sandwiches and I don't like their pizza. Their sushi is decent for fucking whatever it costs, but
Yeah.
like, as a grocery store, like, this place fucking kicks ass.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
So, and they're out of Western New York. So, but they also go down like all the way into like, I don't know where on the fucking Eastern Seaboard, at least Virginia.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So there's one of them. And then there's just another shitty fucking thing. And then Walmart.
Yeah, you gotta love Walmart sometimes.
People fucking bash it, but I just had to defend it to my girlfriend's roommate who's vegan. I'm like, I'll find something there that you'll actually eat. She's like, no way. And like,
Hey,
she was trying.
if Walmart doesn't have it, you don't need it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's so true, but she was looking for vegan marshmallows. She couldn't find them. I found them for her at Walmart, and she was just like, "What the fuck at
I
Walmart?" I'm like, "Yep,
I 100% believe that.
yeah," because they have an amazing marshmallow section.
They do.
I've tried to explain their marshmallow section to people. I'm just like, it's like 4 feet wide and 8 feet tall, and there's like all these different kinds, all sorts of
Just to
shit
freeze
you
them
never
into
even
shape.
dreamed of. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, flavor combinations you didn't even know were possible. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, go check out the marshmallow section next time you want to have a bonfire and have s'mores. They're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Oof. All right.
But
Well,
we have been at this for almost 3 hours, sir.
yeah, man. I was gonna say you gotta go eat. I think I gotta go change this one.
Yeah, I got to piss too.
All right, buddy. It was good talking to you, man.
It was great talking with you also. We'll fucking definitely do this again, and I'm gonna send you more retarded memes too.
Done. Sold.
That that will never end.
No, never. Not never.
You're 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 either number one or two or who receives them on Instagram. I forget.
Yeah. You're. I think yours is like my top three, and then the podcast is like top five.
Oh fuck
You're
yeah.
you're 2 of 5.
You're top two in both of them.
I feel so good. I feel so special. My
Because
my wife is number one because that's all we do. It's our main form of communication.
that makes sense. I approve. Well, you have a great evening with the child, and go make your wife some dinner too.
Yeah, buddy. We'll talk to you later. Go get something to eat. Get some rest.
All right, thanks, man.
Anyway, talk to you later.
Later, dude. Bye.
All right.